Peerless Douluo, who let him join Shrek. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1. Just don't tear Shrek apart. Douluo Continent, Cheyenne Empire, Qingshu City. Jiang Ming, Shrek Academy is the best academy for advanced soul masters on the Douluo Continent. You must study hard when you get there. Do you have enough money? Do you have all the storage soul tools on you? Do you have clothes? Have you got them all? Is there enough food and water? At the door of the city lord's mansion, a beautiful woman in her 40s was holding Jiang Ming's hand and asking with concern. Jiang Ming smiled and checked the contents of the soul guide as instructed by the beautiful woman, even though he had already checked it last night. On the side, Nihang, the lord of Qingshu City, looked helpless. You have said this 30 times since I asked you about it in the morning. If you delay it any longer, it will be noon. The beautiful woman was not angry when she heard what her husband said. He glared at him and said angrily, Jiang Ming is going to Shrek Academy. It's thousands of miles away from our Qingshu City, and Jiang Ming and I are not allowed to talk more. Nihang had no choice but to stand aside and tell the driver to drive more carefully. After the beautiful woman gave Jiang Ming some instructions and secretly stuffed Jiang Ming with a bag of gold soul coins, she finally put Jiang Ming on the carriage with tears in her eyes. Qingshu City is a French city of the Cheyenne Empire. There are no advanced soul guides like the core cities in the mainland, so carriages are the best means of transportation. Hey, I don't know if this child can get used to life in Shrek Academy. I heard that Shrek Academy's assessment system is very strict. The carriage Jiang Ming rode in before they had gone far, the beautiful woman began to worry about Jiang Ming's future. Hearing this, Nihang's mouth twitched slightly, and he looked helplessly at the retreating carriage. Don't worry, if Jiang Ming can't stay in Shrek Academy even with his talent, then there really will be no one in the entire Douluo continent who has this qualification. I only hope that he just don't demolish Shrek Academy. That place is not Qingshu City. Even if the city lord's mansion is sold, we can't afford the compensation. On the carriage, Jiang Ming had a lot of thoughts in his heart. With reluctance and expectation, sadness and excitement written on his face, he imagined what Shrek Academy would look like in 10,000 years. Yes, Jiang Ming is a time traveler. 12 years ago, with an earth-shattering cry, he came to the world of Douluo Continent. He was a little confused at first. After all, he had just finished a college entrance examination before traveling through time. He was already preparing to become a failed student in Qingli. However, when he was playing 4399 and reading novels at home at night, a loaded dump truck rushed directly into his house. He was crushed to death. All of this was so sudden that people were confused in the first few months of time traveled. And after time travel, his life experience also has a little story. Jiang Ming's parents are from the Cheyenne Empire. To be precise, they are soldiers of the Cheyenne Empire. 11 years ago, Jiang Ming's parents died in a war between the Cheyenne Empire and the Sun and Moon Empire. At that time, Nihang, who was Jiang Ming's father's comrade-in-arms, raised Jiang Ming. After that, Nihang was sent to Qingshu City as the city lord because of his military exploits. Because Nihang's wife was injured in her early years, the couple never had any children. They have always treated Jiang Ming as their biological son. But this time, Shrek Academy, the mainland's first advanced soul master academy, is recruiting students, and Nihang, as the lord of Qingshu City, has a recommended spot. Jiang Ming happened to be old enough, so he directly recommended Jiang Ming. Master, please drive more carefully, I need to get something in the car. On the way to Shrek Academy, Jiang Ming stuck his head out of the carriage and gave the driver a warning, and at the same time, a Gintama coin in his hand quietly slipped into the driver's hand. After acquiring the Gintama coin, the coachman's eyes suddenly lit up. Don't worry, Master Jiang. My car has been modified and specially equipped with soul guide shock absorbers. With my driving skills, you won't have any impact even if you are in it. The driver assured, patting his chest. However, he felt something was wrong as soon as the words came out of his mouth. Master Jiang, I'm sorry, I said the wrong thing, just pretend you didn't hear me. The coachman smiled awkwardly. The person in front of him came from the city lord's palace. He was only 12 years old. He was not the rough guy he usually carried. He couldn't talk nonsense like this. It's okay, just drive more steadily. In the carriage, Jiang Ming didn't care about the driver's words. His palm brushed the storage ring soul guide on his finger and the one on his waist. He took out the storage soul guide and took out books and small metal pieces with metallic luster. Although he is 12 years old now, his mind is that of an adult, and compared to the dirty words of the coachman on the internet in his previous life, they are simply petty and gross, and they cannot make his heart agitate at all. Little waves. The energy operation here seems to be able to be optimized. Jiang Ming picked up a metal block, frowned slightly, and scanned the lines carved on the metal block, thinking about optimization plans in his mind. After looking at it for a few seconds, Jiang Ming picked up one of the books in the pile next to him and flipped through it. At this glance, half an hour has passed. Jiang Ming closed the book with an expression of sudden realization on his face. So that's it. Oops, why didn't I think of that? Jiang Ming knocked his little head with some self-reproach, put down the book directly, brushed his fingers over a certain gem on the soul guide at his waist, and a slender pale golden knife appeared in his hand. Then, Jiang Ming held the slender knife tightly and started carving on the metal block. Jiang Ming's hands are very steady, and the strong strength in his arms allows him to use a knife to easily carve the patterns he wants on the metal block. The coachman didn't lie. I don't know if it was the soul shock absorber he installed that had an effect or because his driving skills were really good. There were very few vibrations while the carriage was driving, at least it didn't affect Jiang Ming. Time passed little by little, and before he knew it, Jiang Ming was completely immersed in the state of carving the soul guidance device array. Except when he sometimes stops to think or read when he encounters some difficulties, Jiang Ming carves patterns on these metal blocks almost all the time. After traveling through this world for more than 10 years, Jiang Ming has 3 biggest hobbies, and researching soul guides is one of them. Perhaps because he had just finished a college entrance examination in his previous life, he still had some passion for learning. As for the technical work of soul guides, Jiang Ming fell in love with it when he first came into contact with it. And he really has a talent for soul tools. At least in Qingxia City, no one is more talented in soul guidance tools than him. Even his 4th-level soul master said he could no longer teach him anything. In the research of soul guidance devices, Jiang Ming especially likes to study things like firearms and artillery shells. You know, Douluo world is not the previous life. Between soul masters, or between soul masters, fighting is the main theme. To fight with a soul-guided gun or soul-guided cannonball, for a hot-blooded boy, this is simply hot. Finally, Jiang Ming completed the characterization of another core component of the soul guide. Looking at the metal block in his hand, Jiang Ming showed a smile and slowly poured soul power into it. The next moment, the smile on Jiang Ming's face froze. Then he quickly opened the car window and threw the metal block in his hand out without hesitation. A few seconds later, boom. Chapter 2 exploded again. The 2 strong horses neighed, their thick hind legs stood straight up, a pair of forelimbs raised their entire upper bodies high, and then they ran forward crazily. The speed was so fast that even the car body equipped with a shock absorption system kept vibrating. Jiang Ming in the car was like riding a roller coaster and couldn't stop at all. Jiang, Master Jiang, sit still. The horse is frightened. I have to stabilize the horse quickly, and I may not be able to take care of you, the coachman shouted loudly, for fear that Jiang Ming in the car couldn't hear it. This young master is the young city lord of Qingxia City, so nothing can happen to him. The carriage was completely empty. The books and metal blocks that originally covered the entire carriage were put into the storage soul guide by Jiang Ming as soon as the accident occurred. Jiang Ming stretched out his hand to support the carriage body. His strong body strength allowed him to maintain stability in the bumpy carriage body and prevent him from swaying around. However, Jiang Ming's eyes at this time were full of contemplation and doubt. It shouldn't be. How could it be a mistake? Isn't what the book says wrong? Jiang Ming murmured softly, his sword eyebrows under his forehead frowning, thinking about the metal block he had just carved in his mind, his handsome face full of puzzled expressions. He was sure that he was carving according to the lines mentioned in the book. His hands were definitely stable enough, and the probability of making a carving error was extremely slim. But why does this thing explode? It shouldn't be. It wasn't until the horse gradually calmed down under the control of the coachman and the carriage gradually stabilized that Jiang Ming thought of the cause of the mistake just now. Maybe the purity of the material is wrong. The purity of the metal block he just carved may be different from the metal block written in the book. It is very likely that this subtle difference will lead to deviations when depicting the texture. Try again. A light of wisdom flashed in Jiang Ming's eyes, and then he took out another metal block and wanted to try again. Outside, the coachman who finally stabilized the carriage breathed a sigh of relief, and quickly asked cautiously through the curtain, "Master Jiang, are you okay?" For a long time, the coachman did not listen. Hearing Jiang Ming's reply, he was suddenly startled. He didn't care about disturbing him and opened the curtain directly. "Master Jiang." As soon as the curtain was opened, the word "scene" of the coachman was not seen. Jiang Ming was not knocked unconscious by the frequently vibrating car body just now, but was in the car. Sitting cross-legged, he quietly carved on a metal block with a slender pale golden knife. "Master Jiang, what are you doing?" the coachman couldn't help but ask curiously. Jiang Ming did not reply directly, but stopped after finishing the last stroke of the pattern. He raised his head and looked at the driver, with a satisfied smile on his face. "I was just studying the soul guide. I can't stop. I'm sorry for not replying." Research on soul guidance devices? "Master Jiang, are you still a soul guidance device?" The coachman was really surprised. You know, since the development of soul guidance devices, the status of soul mentors has also increased. Even the most basic first-level soul master is still a very noble existence in the eyes of ordinary people. "Oh, that's right, I did it for fun." Jiang Ming smiled, then pointed behind the driver. "Compared to this, I think it's better for you to pull the carriage back first. We have already gone astray." The driver was startled and quickly looked back. Sure enough, when he turned around to talk to Jiang Ming, the carriage had deviated from the main road and ran in another direction. The coachman quickly sat back in front of the carriage, took out his whip, whipped the side of the horse, and quickly corrected the direction of the carriage. "Master Jiang, I didn't expect that you are also a soul master. You are so amazing. What a genius." Perhaps Jiang Ming seemed kinder to others. After correcting the direction of the carriage, the driver began to talk to him. Jiang Ming started talking word by word. And Jiang Ming was a little tired after carving metal blocks for such a long time. He opened the curtain and sat next to the coachman, intending to take a rest. "Genius? There are so many geniuses. The Shrek Academy we are going to this time is full of geniuses." Jiang Ming doesn't pay much attention to the word genius. There are many geniuses in the world. Too many. This word is too cheap, by the way. "How long will it take for us to get to Shrek Academy?" Jiang Ming turned his head and asked. He couldn't wait any longer. He has some understanding of this Shrek Academy, but his understanding is limited to the Shrek Academy 10,000 years ago. Unexpectedly, Shrek Academy would become the #1 academy in the mainland 10,000 years later. "Master Jiang, we have only walked for half a day. Qingshu City is thousands of miles away from Shrek Academy. We still have to walk for at least 4 days, the coachman said with a smile. 4 days. Hearing this time, Jiang Ming narrowed his eyes and leaned against the frame of the carriage, thoughtfully. 4 days should be enough for him to get that thing out. Jiang Ming thought about it, unconsciously brushed his palm over the storage soul guide on his waist, and took it out. He picked up the metal block that had just been carved, and then injected soul power into it. With the injection of soul power, a pale golden light rose on the metal block, about half a meter in length. However, this pale golden light does not seem to be very stable, appearing and disappearing from time to time, and the length of the light also fluctuates. Jiang Ming looked at this unstable light and frowned slowly again. The instability of the light means that there are still some problems with the depiction of the core array of this metal block. But where did the problem arise? Jiang Ming looked left and right, but couldn't see any clues, and couldn't help but feel irritable. Suddenly, Jiang Ming accidentally transferred a little more soul power in his hand, and the metal block suddenly emitted a dazzling light. "No," Jiang Ming secretly said no, and quickly threw the metal block in his hand. "Master Jiang, you, throw it away." The coachman saw Jiang Ming throwing away the things in his hands and wanted to say something, but he heard a huge explosion and his ears again sounded. His heart trembled and he quickly looked back. Beside the road they just passed, a huge pothole quietly appeared, with a few wisps of gunpowder smoke still lingering on the pothole. This, the coachman stammered and looked at Jiang Ming while steadying the frightened horse. Jiang was obviously a little frustrated. He glanced at the coachman and muttered, "It exploded again. Is this thing so difficult? Again? Again?" The coachman suddenly recalled the explosion incident just now, and couldn't help but look back at the explosion crater that was getting further away, and his heart palpitated. This power can already blow his carriage and himself into pieces. Hey. Also, they have already exploded. Why is this young Master Jiang acting like an innocent person? Chapter 3 You are quite wild. 4 days later, Jiang Ming and the driver were riding 2 strong horses respectively on a broad road, looking at the Shrek Academy that was vaguely visible in the distance. Car driver, Master Jiang, we're here. Shrek City is ahead of us. You can reach Shrek Academy by walking dozens of kilometers along this road. Car driver. The expression on his face was very strange, as if he wanted to cry, but he couldn't cry, and he seemed as if he wanted to laugh, but he couldn't. His whole face looked very tangled. Well, I saw it, it's really spectacular. Jiang Ming looked at the magnificent building in the distance, breathing in the fresh oxygen emitted by the surrounding vegetation through photosynthesis, his eyes full of anticipation. Shrek Academy, seeing it is better than hearing it 100 times. Well, Master Jiang, since Shrek Academy is here, I'll leave first. The coachman looked at Jiang Ming cautiously and said softly. In just 4 days, Jiang Ming's image changed several times in his heart. From being kind at the beginning, to becoming a proud man later, to being crazy later, and then to being kind now. Oh, it's hard to describe in one word. Ah. Are you just leaving? Won't you come with me to see Shrek City, Jiang? Ming looked at the coachman in surprise. He had been chatting with the coachman these days. It was pretty good. I thought he would go into Shrek City with me for a walk. No, it's okay. I still have something to do over there, so I have to go back quickly. The driver waved his hands in a panic, with a very forced smile on his face. If you have something to do, okay, you go back first. I will go to Shrek Academy by myself. As he said that, Jiang Ming got off his horse, handed the rope to the coachman, and planned to go there yourself. The road is not far away, dozens of kilometers away. With his foot strength, he can get there in more than an hour. The coachman took the horse's rope somewhat flattered, stretched his legs, and turned around to leave. Oh, by the way, I accidentally blew up your carriage before. I'm sorry, Jiang. Ming's apologetic voice sounded from behind, and the coachman subconsciously glanced back. Jiang Ming was already running in the direction of Shrek Academy. A small bag drew a graceful arc in the air and landed firmly in the driver's hand. The driver opened the bag and found a few gold soul coins lying quietly inside. He put away the small bag and looked at Jiang Ming, who was running towards Shrek Academy, with a complicated expression. They came by carriage before, but yesterday, Jiang Ming had a little accident while studying the soul guide. Jiang Ming had a small accident when he was drawing a core magic circle. Before he could throw the things out in time, Jiang Ming jumped out of the carriage and jumped out with the driver. That is the core array of a level 4 soul tool. The power can be imagined. Their carriage was instantly destroyed in an explosion. A very exciting experience, at least for the driver. It will never be forgotten in this life. It was precisely because their carriage was blown up that from yesterday to today, the two of them came here riding the only 2 horses left on the carriage. I wish you good luck. The driver silently blessed Jiang Ming in his heart, and then left without looking back. Even if there is compensation, he does not want to stay with Jiang Ming anymore. After all, no one knows whether the next explosion will blow him up too. On the avenue outside Shrek City, Jiang Ming ran wildly, leaving shallow marks on the solid road. Hoo-ha. Under the high-intensity running, Jiang Ming's breathing was neither urgent nor slow, and was very regular. The distance between the shallow marks under his feet also seemed to be measured, and the distance between them was exactly the same. The journey of dozens of miles is not long, but for a 12-year-old boy, it is also quite stressful. However, this puts no pressure on Jiang Ming at all. He has a martial spirit that is specially designed to strengthen his physical fitness. In addition, Qingshu City is a city on the edge of the empire. In order to defend himself, Nihang has taught him to exercise since he was a child. Not to mention running light like this, even if he is wearing an iron suit, he can still do it with ease. Good guy, there are so many people coming to Shrek to sign up, Jiang Ming sighed secretly as he ran. He ran along the roadside, almost keeping the same speed as the carriages on the road, without any difficulty. People in the carriage passing by looked out the window and looked at Jiang Ming curiously. They were surprised when they saw a boy as young as himself. A rather luxurious carriage decorated with ice and snow patterns passed by Jiang Ming. A girl who looked like a porcelain doll poked out of the room and cast a curious look at Jiang Ming. Jiang Ming felt the girl's gaze, turned his head slightly and smiled. His smile is like sunshine, giving people a very warm feeling. Seeing Jiang Ming smiling at him, Ling Luchen was stunned. A blush appeared on his fair and delicate face, as if he was a little shy. She shrank back into the carriage, her little head filled with Jiang Ming's smile. She has seen handsome guys before, but this is the first time she has seen one as handsome as Jiang Ming. And, for some reason, she felt her heart beat faster when she saw Jiang Ming. It's that weird feeling, a little out of control. The journey of dozens of miles was not long, and Jiang Ming soon arrived at the east gate of Shrek City. Niheng asked him carefully before coming. When he saw Shrek City, he took the east gate, entered Shrek Academy from there, and then went to the freshman teaching building to register. The process is very simple, almost the same as when he registered at school in his previous life. Soon, under the guidance of the academy students at the door, Jiang Ming entered Shrek Academy. After entering Shrek Academy, Jiang Ming went straight to the location of the Soul Guidance Department. On the way here, there were always problems with several core formations in his level 4 soul-guided cannonballs, which have not been solved even now. Shrek Academy, as the first academy in the mainland, only has a 4th level soul guide. He should be able to find a teacher or senior to answer his questions. With the intention of studying, Jiang Ming walked towards the gray teaching building of the Soul Guidance Department. There are only 2 or 3 people downstairs in the freshman teaching department of the Soul Guidance Department, a few tables, a few chairs, and 4 people, 2 men and 2 women, sitting there, responsible for registering and issuing dormitory keys and school uniforms respectively. Jiang Ming walked over with a smile on his face, touched the storage ring on his waist, and a gold soul coin appeared in his hand. "Hello, little brother, are you here to register? Come on, fill out the registration form first. Jasmine, get a set of school uniforms for little brother." A senior in a yellow school uniform took out a registration form with a smile on his face and looked very happy. "Well, I didn't come here to sign up. I chose the martial arts department. I came here to ask the seniors some questions about soul guides. These questions have been bothering me for several days." Jiang Ming explained his purpose, and then put the gold soul coin in his hand into the senior's hand without leaving any trace. The 4 third-year seniors of the Soul Guidance Department were all confused. They wanted to sign up for the Martial Arts Department, but they came to the Soul Guidance Department to ask questions? Although the rules of Shrek Academy are that one should only choose the Martial Soul Department and the Soul Guidance Department after the 3rd grade, it is okay if one chooses the Soul Guidance Department from the beginning. Before 3rd grade, this was a very free thing. But after the 3rd grade, you need to clarify the direction of your cultivation. The senior who received Jiang Ming's golden soul coin looked at the golden soul coin in his hand with some disbelief, and couldn't help but twitching at the corner of his mouth. He looked at Jiang Ming with a strange expression. "Little brother, you signed up for the Martial Soul Department and came to the Soul Guidance Department to ask questions. You are quite wild." Chapter 4, Old Man, are you very powerful? Under the kind eyes of the senior of the Soul Guidance Department, Jiang Ming still bit the bullet and took out the metal block that he had been studying for several days. No way, he is too curious. On the way to Shrek Academy, he solved some problems by himself, but there were still some details that he didn't understand. As for books, those reference books are useful, but they can only solve part of the problem. The senior of the Soul Guidance Department frowned and glanced at the metal block Jiang Ming placed on the table. He suppressed the desire to hit someone and observed the lines on it. At first glance, I took out this simple texture and asked, I didn't know it after reading a book at second glance, there is something special about this texture. At the 3rd glance, the senior's eyebrows were so furrowed that they almost touched each other, and his eyes gradually became solemn. He carefully picked up the metal block from the table and looked at it carefully. After a few minutes, he shook his head and looked at Jiang Ming with a hint of impatience. "Little brother, you are really here to entertain us. Ask us about the core array of a level 4 soul guide. Thank you for looking up to us, senior." He slapped the metal piece back into Jiang Ming's hand. Go back to your martial arts department to report. If you're late, you'll have to wait in a long queue." As he said that, the senior waved his hand, urging Jiang Ming to hurry up. "Leave." "Just kidding, level 4 soul guide. They are the 2nd and 3rd year students of the Soul Guidance Department. Being able to produce a third-level soul guidance device is already incredible. The fourth-level soul guidance device is the same as the soul sect of the martial soul department. Difficulty. As for the soul sect, if nothing unexpected happens, they will be able to graduate from the outer academy. If they could figure out the core array of the fourth-level soul guide, could they still receive new student registrations here? Wouldn't it be nice to go directly to the inner courtyard? Exclamation mark. Jiang Ming blinked when he heard the senior's words, but he understood that these seniors could not solve his problems. However, it is only a fourth-level soul guide, and this is Shrek Academy. Jiang Ming was somewhat disappointed. He originally thought that his doubts could be solved here, but now it seems that he should go to the martial arts department to sign up first and get down to business. Thinking like this, Jiang Ming glanced at the gray soul guidance department teaching building not far away, noted the location, and planned to come and observe it when he had time in the future. If the students don't know it, the teacher definitely does. Take courses in 2 departments for 1 tuition and earn money. After Jiang Ming left, the third-year senior who had just been beaten by Jiang Ming continued to register the junior students who came to the soul guidance department. After registering a new students and distributing school uniforms and dormitory keys, the few of them were idle again. Hey, Brother Xuan, are you saying that the martial soul guide just now is really a fourth-level soul master, with nothing to do? A few people are here. Talk about what just happened. As soon as these words came out, the other 3 people looked at the speaker as if they were idiots. Forget it about others, you, a soul guidance student, don't you know what a fourth-level soul engineer is? That's a 12-year-old freshman. A fourth-level soul engineer? Even the Sun and Moon Empire may not even have such a genius. The man called Brother Xuan was speechless. If this person really has this level of talent for soul guidance, how could he sign up for the martial arts department? Exclamation mark. Is it possible that his talent in martial arts is greater than his talent in soul guidance tools? That's even more nonsense. On the other side, Jiang Ming has arrived downstairs at the freshman teaching hall of the martial arts department. The teaching building in the martial arts department is more colorful than that in the soul guidance department, with 4 colors, white, yellow, purple and black. Among them, the white teaching building is the freshman teaching building. When Jiang Ming came to the registration office, some people had already started to register. But fortunately, Jiang Ming didn't waste much time in the soul guidance department, so he didn't have to wait in line for long, and he quickly received his school uniform and dormitory key. After being reminded by the registered senior, Jiang Ming learned that the dormitory building was behind the teaching building, not far away. He walked towards the dormitory building, but saw a bulletin board not far away with several notices posted on it. Out of curiosity, Jiang Ming went over and took a look. The announcement above lists the head teacher of each class. I am the head teacher of class 1, who is Zhou Yi? Jiang Ming silently wrote down the name, and then continued walking towards the dormitory building. He didn't really care who his class teacher was. He wasn't familiar with it anyway, so he just obeyed the arrangements. In a short time, Jiang Ming walked downstairs to the dormitory. This dormitory building looks a bit fancy. It is a 6-story building painted in 4 different colors. There are also 4 doors arranged in 4 colors. Each color represents where students of different grades live. Well, that's easy to understand. Jiang Ming is a new student, and his dormitory is in the white area. Walking to the door of the white building, Jiang Ming saw a very old man. He was wearing civilian clothes, his face was full of wrinkles, his eyes were half closed, and he was lying on a seat enjoying the sunlight coming from between the buildings. Is this the dormitory manager? Jiang Ming's eyes lit up. He jogged to the old man's side and took a look at the dormitory manager. This is too old, Jiang Ming frowned, expressing his disbelief at Shrek Academy's behavior of letting a dying old man serve as a dormitory manager. Although the dormitory manager of his school in his previous life was also an old man, he was still in his 60s or 70s, so he was considered the prime of life among old men. This Jiang Ming is really afraid that this old man will die lying there like this accidentally. Uncle, the dormitory manager, Jiang Ming whispered. He was not sure whether the old man was asleep. The uncle seemed to have heard it. He slowly opened his half-closed eyes and looked at Jiang Ming aside. Jiang Ming subconsciously looked at the eyes of the dormitory master. He didn't know if it was an illusion. He felt that the moment he saw the eyes of the dormitory master, it was like seeing an ocean full of light. The vastness, almost engulfing his spirit. But in the blink of an eye, The dormitory manager's eyes became dim again, and he looked like a dying old man. Are you hallucinating? Jiang Ming looked carefully a few more times, but the eyes of the dormitory manager were still so dim, with the vicissitudes of life. What's the matter? The dormitory manager said, his voice sounding a little hoarse and low. Oh, Mr. Dormitory Supervisor, I am a new student. Do I need to register here? When I went to the dormitory building for the first time in my previous life, the dormitory supervisor had to register. No, show me your dormitory key and badge. The dormitory manager slowly stretched out his hand, and Jiang Ming quickly put the dormitory key and badge on his skinny shoulder. On the palm of your hand. At the same time, Jiang Ming was constantly looking at the dormitory manager. He didn't believe that the scene just now was an illusion. He is in good health, with strong ki and blood, and sensitive senses. The possibility of sudden hallucinations is too low. However, this dormitory manager looks really normal. Jiang Ming frowned, narrowed his eyes, and asked tentatively, Old man, are you very powerful? Chapter 5 I don't want to fight. The dormitory manager's skinny palms froze slightly, and a trace of surprise flashed in his cloudy and dim eyes. He glanced at the keys and badge in his hand, and gave them back to Jiang Ming. Why do you think so? The dormitory manager did not answer directly, but asked Jiang Ming why he felt so. Jiang Ming smiled, he already had the answer in his heart. Hey, Mr. Dormitory Supervisor, this is Shrek Academy. If you can stay in Shrek Academy for retirement, someone of your age should be a titled Douluo, right? When the supervisor heard this as he spoke, a smile flashed across his old face, and the moving muscles on his face put several layers of wrinkles together, probably enough to kill several flies. Nowadays, the freshmen are very active. Okay, your room is in the second room on the left on the second floor. Remember, starting from the fourth floor is where girls live. If you go up, you will be expelled, the supervisor reminded. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Dormitory Manager, I will come back to chat with you later. Jiang Ming held the dormitory key and badge in his hand, turned around and entered the white dormitory building. The dormitory manager shook his head. His cloudy eyes were still old, but a glimmer of light deep in his eyes flickered. Interesting child. Following the dormitory manager's prompts, Jiang Ming quickly found his dormitory. To be honest, the environment is not good. The dormitory building has obviously been around for a long time, the interior is a bit old, and there are collective toilets on both sides of the corridor. The door number hanging on the dormitory door is slightly rusty, and it can be seen that it has been in service for a long time. Jiang Ming thought for a while, inserted the key into the door hole, turned it to open it, and then quickly took 2 steps back to avoid the turbid air that had accumulated for a long time. The freshman dormitories are indeed like this, and they are no different from the dormitories in the previous life. After breathing some air, Jiang Ming walked into the dormitory and opened the window inside. A thick layer of dust has accumulated in the dormitory, and there are clear shoe prints on the floor, which makes Jiang Ming feel like he can't put his foot down. Looking at the surrounding environment, Jiang Ming gently closed his eyes and activated his soul power to activate his martial spirit. 1 yellow, 2 purple, a total of 3 soul rings. Jiang Ming, who is only 12 years old, has actually reached the 3rd ring soul realm. Moreover, the 2nd soul ring is still a purple 1000-year soul ring. This is also an absolute top genius in the Shrek Academy where geniuses gather. However, when the soul ring appeared, Jiang Ming's martial soul was nowhere to be seen. There was neither the characteristics of a beast martial soul nor a weapon martial soul. What was there was just the sound of a heartbeat that quietly sounded in the dormitory. The sound of the heart beating was very loud, many times louder than a normal heartbeat. And, with the constant beating of the heartbeat, the dust in the entire dormitory began to vibrate slightly. Particles of dust jump with the frequency of the heart, just like crazy religious men and women in a disco. The scene is very dynamic. The heartbeat was getting faster and faster, and the dust in the entire dormitory shook. They followed a dynamic beat and gathered into an oversized leg-stretching staring ball in front of Jiang Ming's eyes. It still tastes. Jiang Ming wrinkled his nose. Although the dust in the room had been piled at his feet, the smell still needed to be removed. This job can only be left to the northwest wind outside the window. It's great to be able to drink and work. It takes time for the smell to dissipate. Jiang Ming took out some daily necessities from the storage soul guide on his waist and placed them one by one. After finishing all this, Jiang Ming left the dormitory directly. The dormitory manager downstairs is still lying on the chair, The sun is shining on his old face, he has yellow hair hanging down and he feels happy. Jiang Ming walked to the side of the dormitory supervisor, touched his finger on the soul guide on his waist, and a recliner appeared next to the dormitory supervisor. Jiang Ming lay down leisurely, competing with the dormitory manager for the sunlight that finally came through between the buildings. Should I say it, lying down is indeed more comfortable than standing or sitting. Lying on a recliner, holding a book, and absorbing knowledge in the rhythmic rocking, it was really enjoyable. The dormitory manager next to him obviously noticed Jiang Ming's behavior, but he didn't say anything more and generously shared the sunshine with Jiang Ming beside him. Jiang Ming held a book on the basic structure of soul-guided cannonballs and the core array design of special soul-guided cannonballs. He looked at it with interest, sometimes frowning slightly, and sometimes the corners of his mouth slightly raised. The years are quiet and time flies by unconsciously. While Jiang Ming was studying, the freshmen who came to the dormitory building were not very discerning. When they arrived, they entered the dormitory directly without even saying hello to this low-key sweeping monk. Alice, young people are not wise. Anyone who has read a novel will not understand this hidden rule. After reading for a while, Jiang Ming felt a little thirsty. He waved his hand and a folding table appeared next to him. Then, Jiang Ming took out an icy blue fruit, which looked like a watermelon. The oval shape had crystal-clear frost patterns on it, like a work of art. A cold light flashed, and the fruit was cut into 16 even pieces. The flesh was light blue, as clear as the sky. Housekeeper, here, have a melon, Jiang Ming took out 2 slices of melon and handed one over. The dormitory manager, who was sleeping, heard Jiang Ming's voice and slowly raised his eyelids. This is a new variety I cultivated myself, ice pattern melon, very sweet. Jiang Ming put the melon directly on the hand of the dormitory manager and ate the melon with a smile. The dormitory manager glanced at the melon in his hand, and then at Jiang Ming who was excited about eating melons next to him, with a kind smile on his face. Well, this melon is indeed sweet. It's ice cold, but it doesn't freeze your teeth. It's juicy and delicious. The old man and the young boy were eating melon under the maple tree downstairs in the dormitory, looking very leisurely and at ease. Housekeeper, is it delicious? Do you want another piece? Jiang Ming finished chewing a piece of melon, flicked his wrist, and the remaining watermelon rind formed a beautiful parabola and entered the trash can not far away. The dormitory manager didn't say anything and stretched out his hand. Jiang Ming grinned and took 2 more slices of melon. The old and the young ate the melon again. An old man and a young boy were eating melons downstairs in the dormitory. They still ate this new variety, which was somewhat eye-catching. No, Jiang Ming had just finished eating the second piece of melon, and the rind in his hand had not yet been thrown away. A very strong freshman who didn't look like a new student at all stood in front of Jiang Ming. Hey, give me a piece of melon too. This guy seems to be used to being arrogant and domineering, and he speaks with a high air of arrogance, as if he is giving orders to his subordinates. Jiang Ming ignored him, flicked his wrist again, and threw the melon rind into the trash can. Then he looked at the burly guy in front of him with calm eyes. Freshmen are entering today. I don't want to fight. I'll give you 3 seconds to get out of my sight. Chapter 6, Keep a low profile when going out. Jiang Ming's calm eyes and words made the burly freshman a little angry. He waved his adult-sized palm and directly swept the ice-patterned melon on the table next to him to the ground. Pieces of light blue fruits that looked like works of art fell to the ground, stained with dust. The juice of the fruit soaked the dry floor tiles into a dark color, and the sweet smell attracted a large number of ants to eat. Seeing this scene, Jiang Ming was stunned for a moment and couldn't help but sigh. When I was going out, Lao Nai told me to try my best to restrain myself and not get into fights. But now it seems that there are quite a lot of fools like you in the world. How dare you scold? The burly freshman hadn't finished speaking yet, but his mouth seemed to be blocked by something and he couldn't say a word. At the same time, his eyes widened out of nowhere. Needless to say, I not only dare to scold you, I also dare to slap you. Jiang Ming's tone is still calm, but his right hand has already made a fist and hit the burly freshman in the stomach, which is why his eyes widened. As he spoke, Jiang Ming retracted his fist, then picked up the burly freshman who was much bigger than himself with one hand and threw him to the floor. Brother, didn't your family tell you before you went out? You should keep a low profile outside. As he said that, Jiang Ming grabbed this guy's hair, lifted his head, and then patted him down again. This is a heavy blow. It was so heavy that the floor was hurt mercilessly by this guy's head, and my heart was so painful that it split several cracks. Other freshmen passing by were frightened by this scene. Family members, who knows? I witnessed a school violence just after school started. Can I still stay in the school? The expression of the dormitory man next to him didn't change much, but his two white eyebrows wrinkled. Jiang Ming lifted the man up again. The dormitory manager thought he was going to smash him again, so he was already ready to stop him. But Jiang Ming did not continue to take action. Instead, he took the burly freshman with a ferocious face, blood flowing from his nostrils, and a large bright red mark on his forehead, and turned around to the foot of the big maple tree. Jiang Ming tapped his fingers, and a hemp rope appeared in his hand. A few minutes later, the burly freshman with the swollen head hugged big maple tree intimately, back to back, inseparable. After doing all this, Jiang Ming went back upstairs to get a broom and a mop, swept the rotten ice-patterned melons that fell on the ground into the trash can, and went back to lie down next to the dormitory manager. I took out the book I just read and started reading it as if nothing had happened. You are a bit angry. The dormitory manager was lying on the recliner without looking at Jiang Ming, but his voice came slowly. Are you angry? Haha, I'm used to it, Jiang Ming murmured with a distant look in his eyes, and then continued to read. While reading, he asked softly, Old man, I thought you were going to stop me just now. The dormitory manager shook his head slightly and said in a deep voice, The new students of Shrek Academy are geniuses in all major empires. Some of these people are used to being arrogant, and there is nothing wrong with giving them a lesson. However, you are a bit harsh, Jiang Ming's face was calm, and he reached out to turn to the next page of the book. It's not serious, it's just a minor injury, no muscles or bones, just a scratch on the skin and some blood. Hearing this, the corner of the dormitory manager's mouth twitched slightly. This boy is really not a good person. When Jiang Ming took action just now, he saw everything in his eyes. He did not use soul power, just relying on physical strength and some skills. He instantly made the opponent lose his fighting power. You know, those who can sign up at Shrek Academy must be at least level 15 soul masters. It seems that the freshmen of this class are going to be unlucky. Time passed little by little, and when it was dark, Jiang Ming put away the table and lounge chair, said goodbye to the dormitory manager, put down the burly freshman who had been stuck on the tree for more than an hour, and went upstairs back to the dormitory. Well, the air smells much better, Jiang Ming nodded, took out a small incense burner, and lit the spices inside. Wisps of green smoke rise, accompanied by a refreshing fragrance, which calms people down unconsciously. Jiang Ming closed the window to prevent insects such as mosquitoes and flies from flying in, and to prevent the smell of spices in the incense burner from escaping. My roommates haven't come yet, so let's go eat first. I don't know what the Shrek Academy cafeteria is like. I can't have trembling hands, Jiang Ming muttered and closed the dormitory door. Walked towards the cafeteria behind the dormitory area. When I was chatting with the dormitory manager this afternoon, he asked about the location of the cafeteria and other things about the college. He also read 2 chapters about different types of core formations of soul-guided cannonballs. Introduction, gained a lot. The environment in the cafeteria is much better than the dormitory building, but there is one thing Jiang Ming doesn't understand. There are no tables and chairs in the cafeteria, and you can't take the food out. This is simply intolerable. But fortunately, the hand of the lady in the cafeteria is relatively stable and there is no shaking. Otherwise, if more than half of the soul beast meat that Jiang Ming bought for 3 gold soul coins was shaken off, he would be so angry that he would blow up the canteen with soul-guided cannonballs. As for the situation of not sitting down while eating, this is still easy to solve for Jiang Ming. Take out the folding table where I put the ice melons in the afternoon, and put on a chair, the perfect solution. It's just that the cafeteria is so poor that we can't afford tables and chairs, and we have to prepare them ourselves. Why is this Shrek Academy even more shabby than the one 10,000 years ago? Can I put the dinner plate here, eh? Cold and shy voice sounded in his ears. Jiang Ming, who was immersed in eating meat, raised his head and saw a picture a pretty and cute face. Jiang Ming had an impression of this face. When he came here this afternoon, this guy was sitting in the carriage and peeking at him. Come on, do you want a stool, Jiang Ming said while chewing the chewy beef of the armored cow. Needless to say, this dish is a bit expensive, but it tastes really good. And because it is soul beast meat, it has enough energy. After eating it, you will feel warm and comfortable. Ling Luchen placed the dinner plate on Jiang Ming's table and said softly, "Yes, thank you, Jiang." Ming waved his hand and a stool appeared in front of Ling Luchen, and then ignored her. Eating and sleeping silently, Jiang Ming's habits are still very good. Soon, Jiang Ming finished a valuable dinner, put the plate down, returned to the table, and watched Ling Luchen eat. Why are you looking at me, Ling?" Luchen felt Jiang Ming's gaze, and stopped the movement of his hand. The rice in the spoon was hanging in the air. Her heart beat rapidly involuntarily, and her cold, snow-white pretty face was stained with 2 blushes. Close the table after you finish. Chapter 7 Abnormal Martial Spirit. After Jiang Ming said that he would clear the table after she finished her meal, Ling Luchen's face turned from 2 blushes to 1 big blush, and even her crystal earlobes turned red. She hurriedly finished the food on the plate and lowered her head to pick up the plate. The next moment, Jiang Ming put away the table and stools and strode out of the cafeteria. Seeing that Jiang Ming was about to leave without saying a word, Ling Luchen was stunned and said quickly, "My name is Ling Luchen, what's your name, Jiang?" "Ming, Jiang." Ming waved his hand, and the voice reached Ling Luchen's ears, and he had already walked out of the cafeteria. Back in the dormitory, the room is already filled with a fresh smell. There was still no movement in the bed next door. His roommate hadn't arrived yet, so he was alone at the moment. Jiang Ming climbed onto his bed, sat down cross-legged, and began to meditate. This is the plan he made for himself. Learn knowledge about soul guides during the day, meditate and practice soul power at night. Logically speaking, it is difficult for him to reach the level of soul master at this age with his cultivation method, but Jiang Ming is not only a soul master now, but also a soul master with 2,000-year soul rings. All of this is actually directly related to his other martial spirit. Yes, another martial spirit. In addition to the martial spirit of the heart, Jiang Ming also has another martial spirit. He is a twin martial spirit. As Jiang Ming meditated, his other martial spirit quietly appeared. It was a very thick-looking book, with mysterious lines on the simple outer shell, forming a very gorgeous-looking pattern. As the books appeared, 3 purple soul rings appeared beside Jiang Ming, shining brightly. Yes, 3 purple soul rings. Jiang Ming's other martial soul also has soul rings, 3 purple 1,000-year soul rings. The book was opened quietly, and the content on the first page appeared. It was a small elf-like creature, with a yellow body, a red scarf around its neck, and a pair of blue-green eyes on its white face. It looked very cute. Suddenly, the elf on the first page flew out of the book. After taking a look at Jiang Ming, he flew directly to purple soul ring next to Jiang Ming, posing with Jiang Ming. In the same posture as Ming, he actually meditated and practiced. Soon, the book turned to the second page. On the second page, there is also an elf, all gray and blue, with 6 big ears, and a sword almost as tall as it is slung behind its back. Like the elf on the previous page, it also flew out of the book and sat cross-legged on a purple soul ring to meditate and practice. Then, the book turned to the third page, and Jiang Ming's 3 soul rings also appeared. The elf on this page is a little guy covered in ice blue with a long ice pick on his forehead. Like the previous 2 elves, it flew to purple soul ring and meditated. This is why Jiang Ming puts most of his energy into the research of soul guidance devices, and why his soul power can increase so quickly. His second martial spirit is an elf illustrated book. At first, Jiang Ming didn't think there was anything special about this martial spirit. Many soul masters of the summoning system have similar martial souls. They can summon soul beasts from books to fight. The number and strength of the summoned soul beasts vary depending on the strength of the soul master. Jiang Ming thought that his martial soul was similar, but when his soul power reached level 10, he discovered what was special about this martial soul. This martial soul does not need to hunt soul beasts to obtain soul rings when it reaches the 10th level threshold. When it reaches the level, it can generate a soul ring on its own and unblock an elf in the book. What's more important is that the unsealed elves can actually meditate and practice with him. And the life of the soul ring will also increase with the results of the elf's training. At the beginning, the first spirit ring of this martial spirit was a white 10-year spirit ring. What's more important is that these elves can speed up his practice when he practices. Now if the 3 elves practice at the same time, the increase they will bring to Jiang Ming is almost twice that of normal practice. Twice the training speed. Still at the age of 12, the golden age for cultivation. With his martial spirit and his hard training in the early stage, although Jiang Ming has focused on the research of soul guidance devices in the past 2 years, his current soul power is still as high as level 38. His first martial soul and second soul ring was 1,000 years because of the increase of this martial soul. And under the impact of the soul power of the 1,000-year soul ring, his original soul power suddenly increased by 2 levels. So scary. There was no words for a night. When Jiang Ming ended his meditation, the first ray of sunlight in the morning had already poured into the room through the window. It's another beautiful day. Jiang Ming stretched out, put away his martial spirit and started to wash up. After a night of meditation, with the help of special spices, Jiang Ming didn't feel sleepy, but instead looked energetic. After washing up, Jiang Ming planned to go for a few dozen laps in Shrek Square in the morning. Under the big maple tree, the supervisor was still lying there, as if he had never moved. "Good morning, old man." Jiang Ming walked over and said hello to the dormitory manager, who nodded slightly in response. Shrek Square is not too big, about 300 meters in one lap, which is shorter than the playground track in Jiang Ming's previous life. After stretching his hands and feet, Jiang Ming started his morning jog. A lap of 300 meters, Jiang Ming set a goal of 100 laps for himself. 100 laps may sound like a lot, but to Jiang Ming, it's nothing. His first martial soul is the golden heart, and the heart is the organ that can drive blood throughout the body. In the 6 years since he awakened this martial spirit, Jiang Ming's physical strength has been strengthened by this heart countless times. In terms of physical strength alone, he is already comparable to the four-ring soul sect with the top east martial spirit. At the speed he was running, 300 meters only took half a minute. 100 laps, which is less than an hour, is a morning run of this intensity without any pressure. During the morning jog, students were already active in Shrek Square. However, there are basically no students participating in these activities who run in the morning, and everyone is more willing to spend this time on meditation practice. Soul Master, improving your soul power is the most direct way to increase your strength. After running 100 laps quickly, Jiang Ming went to the canteen and bought a few steamed buns and a cup of soy milk. The taste is good and the price is relatively reasonable. After breakfast, Jiang Ming returned to the dormitory and took a shower, then continued to enjoy the quiet time under the big maple tree with the dormitory manager. Today is also the registration time. There is no need to attend classes. Jiang Ming has no chance to attend classes in the soul guidance department, so he can only continue reading books about soul guidance devices. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8 Roommate Yuhen. Are you interested in soul guides? Jiang Ming put down the book in his hand and looked at the dormitory manager. This was the first time that the dormitory manager took the initiative to ask him a question. Jiang Ming said softly, "Well, I am indeed quite interested in soul guides." "Old man, are you interested in soul guides? Do you have any research? Can you teach me?" Jiang Ming asked with some anticipation. He has determined that this old man who seems to have been buried in the soil with only his head sticking out is a sweeping monk. If this old man has researched soul guidance devices, he must be at least a 7th level, or even he is an 8th level soul engineer. As for the 9th level, Jiang Ming knew something that there was no 9th level soul master in the soul guidance department of Shrek Academy. Not only the soul guidance department of Shrek Academy, except for the Sun Moon Empire, there are very few 9th level soul masters in the entire Douluo continent. It can almost be said that there is no. However, level 7 is fine, and teaching him is sufficient. Seeing the expectant look in Jiang Ming's eyes, the dormitory manager shook his head and said, "I can use soul guides, but I have not studied the production of soul guides, so I can't teach you." Hearing this, the look of expectation in Jiang Ming's eyes faded, but he was not too disappointed. After all, in a few days he will be able to take classes at the soul guidance department, and by then he will definitely be able to find a powerful soul master who can teach him. "Little guy, I really don't know how to make a soul guide, and I can't teach you, but I can introduce you to someone." The supervisor looked at Jiang Ming, a smile appearing on his old face. "Huh? Who is it?" Jiang Ming leaned his ear and looked at the dormitory manager. "Fan Yu, he's pretty good at playing soul tools, he can teach you." The Dormitory manager slowly said a name. Fan Yu. Jiang Ming kept this name in his heart secretly. The person who can be recommended by the dormitory master must be a powerful soul mentor. Remember, thank you, the leisure time is always very short, and the morning passed in the blink of an eye. Jiang Ming stood up, put away the recliner, and looked at the dormitory manager. Old man, I'm going to have lunch first. Let's continue chatting in the afternoon. After saying that, Jiang Ming strode towards the cafeteria. But just a few steps out, Jiang Ming seemed to have remembered something and returned to the dormitory manager's side. Jiang Ming squatted down next to the dormitory manager's recliner and said with some complaints, "Old man, I know you must be a senior executive of Shrek Academy. Can you contact the relevant department? Let's reflect, this cafeteria doesn't have tables and chairs, but it's not allowed to take food out. This is too inconvenient." Of course, this is nothing to Jiang Ming, after all, he stores things. There are tables and chairs in the Soul Guide, but he just doesn't want to take his own table and chairs every time. I have to clean the table after eating, which is troublesome. Last time the blue-haired girl left several grains of rice on his table when he was eating. The dormitory manager obviously didn't expect Jiang Ming to tell him this. He opened his mouth slightly and said with some embarrassment, "This doesn't belong to me. No matter what, I can't help." Although the dormitory manager is a big boss in Shrek Academy, he has never been exposed to this kind of logistics management. If he talks about this specifically in Poseidon Pavilion, it seems that not so good. That's it, forget it. I'll go to the dean to report it after class. Master, I'm leaving first. Jiang Ming nodded and went to the cafeteria to work. Today I didn't meet the girl who was rubbing the tables and chairs last night, but there were a lot more people in the cafeteria. Today is the last day for new students to register. Most of the new students have already registered, so it is normal for there to be a lot of people. Walking to the cafeteria window, Jiang Ming originally wanted to eat something good like yesterday, but he took out a bag with money and took a look at it, thought about it in his mind, and gave up. A luxurious life of fish and meat. There are still hundreds of gold soul coins in the purse, as well as hundreds of gold soul coins as pocket money that Mrs. Nai quietly gave, which will definitely be enough for dinner. But his money is not only used for food. The study of soul guidance devices, whether it is buying materials for practice or other aspects, is very expensive. Especially since he is studying one-time use soul guidance devices such as soul guidance cannonballs. This is a gold-selling cave. After simply ordering 2 dishes, 1 meat and 1 vegetarian, and adding 3 times the amount of white rice, Jiang Ming took out his table and chairs again. As the saying goes, you should have a good breakfast, a full lunch, and a small dinner. Jiang Ming also has a heart-martial soul, which requires a lot of energy to strengthen his body, which is reflected in his appetite to a certain extent. Yesterday I ate soul beast meat. Even though the portion was not much, it was very full of energy and very filling. Now, of course, the meal of 1 silver soul coin cannot be compared with the soul beast meat of several gold soul coins, so the energy intake can only be put on white rice. The taste is not bad, but the energy contained is a bit lacking. Jiang Ming muttered and took a big mouthful of rice into his mouth. It seems that we need to hurry up and find a way to make money, otherwise we won't be able to keep up with our daily nutrition. Jiang Ming is not a person who will wrong himself, and he also knows that it is not advisable to save money to maintain his life. Yes, you have to make money. It's just that school is about to start. He has to take classes in the martial arts department during the day, and attend classes in the soul guidance department, and he has to meditate and practice at night. How can he make money? Thinking about it, the food on the plate was quickly eaten. Facts have proven that you can eat very quickly when you are silent. After putting down the dinner plates and putting away the tables and chairs, Jiang Ming returned to the big maple tree. Only this time, he did not continue reading, but looked at the sky, frowning slightly and thought. Seeing this, the dormitory supervisor raised the corner of his mouth slightly and chuckled. At such a young age, where did he have so many worries? Jiang Ming pondered all afternoon, thinking of dozens of ways to make money, but rejected them all afternoon. Some methods may seem feasible, but are difficult to implement. Some methods are simple and rude, but they can easily violate school rules, and they can't be sustained. And there are some ways, which require relationships. When he was in Qingshu City before, he was the biggest connection in Qingshu City, but in Shrek Academy, except for the dormitory manager around him, he didn't seem to know anyone with status. Oh, Making money is really troublesome. Unconsciously, night falls again. Jiang Ming said goodbye to the dormitory manager, returned to the dormitory, lit the spices in the small incense burner, and prepared to meditate. However, as soon as Jiang Ming got on the bed and sat down cross-legged, the dormitory door was opened. A handsome man with short blonde hair walked in. "Is this my roommate? I came really late. I have classes tomorrow and I just arrived tonight." Jiang Ming muttered in his heart, then got out of bed and looked at his roommate. "Hello, I am Dai Yuhang." After the other party put down his luggage, he stretched out his hand to say hello to Jiang Ming. Jiang Ming stretched out his hands to shake hands and introduced himself, Jiang Ming. Chapter 9, Brother, do you want to roll like this? The first meeting of the roommates was quite harmonious. After introducing their names to each other, Dai Yuhang went to pack his luggage. Jiang Ming saw that he also had a soul guide, which was a ring worn on his finger. He knew it was worth a lot at a glance. It seems that his roommate is also a rich second-generation. Jiang Ming squinted his eyes, thinking about some small thoughts. In fact, those who can sign up for Shrek Academy are basically from a good family background. After all, the training of a soul master is quite expensive. Of course, it is not ruled out that there are super geniuses who are innately full of soul power and rely on their talents to smooth out the gap between their family backgrounds. Such a genius would enter Shrek Academy through the recommendation of each major city in the major empires. While Jiang Ming was looking at Dai Yuhang was also observing Jiang Ming. He summarized the following points. First, he looks handsome. And the temperament is extraordinary, and you can tell at a glance that it is not a simple thing. Second, the family is well off. As soon as he entered the door, he smelled the fragrance that filled the dormitory. It was valuable agarwood. Even if he is the eldest son of the White Tiger Duke's family, he is reluctant to use this spice in a place like the dormitory. Third, my temper is okay. As the eldest son of the White Tiger Duke's family, although he is still young, many people have seen him. This Jiang Ming is not as arrogant as other freshmen, and looks very easygoing. To sum up these 3 points, Dai Yuhang is almost sure that Jiang Ming is a relatively easy person to get along with. But he never imagined that at this time Jiang Ming was thinking about how to get some money from him. He has only been in Shrek Academy for 1 day, and it is unrealistic to build a long-term capital chain in a short period of time. But if you invest in short-term funds, you will definitely get something done. You know, the registration for new students at Shrek Academy is almost over. Among the hundreds of freshmen, at least 80% are from rich families. These people are not short of money. Of course, Jiang Ming would not steal money. That would be against school rules, and he is not that shameless. After Dai Yuhang packed his luggage, he went to bed and sat cross-legged and began to meditate. As the eldest son of the White Tiger Duke's family, he must work hard so that he will not let down the expectations of his family. When Jiang Ming saw this, he looked at Dai Yuhang, then at the small incense burner that was emitting fine smoke, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He got into bed and meditated. As for the secret of Wuhan being discovered, Jiang Ming is not too worried. His first martial soul belongs to the weapon martial soul. He must use this martial soul every time he practices. It is impossible to hide this thing. The same is true for soul rings. When fighting, he always uses this martial soul. It has to be used, not hidden. Instead of hiding it coyly, it is better to show it directly. Anyway, no one would know that his martial soul could still help him practice unless he told him. In the dormitory, accompanied by the fragrance of agarwood, neither of them slept, but meditated and practiced in bed. When Jiang Ming's spirit book spirit came out, the energy of the spirit force made Dai Yuhang open his eyes. As soon as he opened his eyes, he saw 3 bright purple 1,000-year soul rings. Huh? 3,000-year soul rings? Exclamation mark. It's fake, Dai Yuhang blinked hard and even reached out to wipe his eyes, but the 3 purple 1,000-year soul rings were still so dazzling. Really? It's really 3,000-year soul rings. Dai Yuhang was caught immediately. His throat kept swallowing. It was unbelievable. As the eldest son of the White Tiger Duke's family, his resources and knowledge are considered to be among the best among his peers. But 3,000-year soul rings are really too challenging for people's cognition. Forget it about Soul Lord, after all, he himself is the same. But you have 3,000-year soul rings. Dai Yuhang instantly had some self-doubts about his own genius. Compared with the 3 purple 1,000-year soul rings, his 3 soul rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple, Looked? It's a bit shabby when you go up there. No. You can't be affected by him. Dai Yuheng pinched his thigh directly, and the instant pain brought him back to his senses. This is Shrek Academy, a 3-ring soul master, or 3,000-year soul rings. Dai Yuheng sighed, calmed down the turmoil in his heart, and quickly entered the state to practice. Thanks to the help of agarwood, Dai Yuheng quickly entered a meditative state and began to practice. After a night of silence, Jiang Ming woke up as a ray of early morning sunlight fell into the room. Dai Yuheng, who was on the opposite bed, also finished his practice and looked at Jiang Ming as if he were looking at a monster. How come your 3 soul rings are all purple 1,000-year soul rings? Dai Yuheng still couldn't help but ask curiously. The 3 purple 1,000-year soul rings he saw last night really shocked him. Even with Chen Shuang's help, it took him a long time to calm down. This is a secret, Jiang Ming smiled, then jumped out of bed and greeted Dai Yuheng. Would you like to have breakfast? Class will start in a few hours. Dai Yuheng suppressed the curiosity in his heart. As the eldest son of the White Tiger Duke's family, he knew that these 3 soul rings were the millennium level must be a secret that is not told. I just couldn't help but ask out of curiosity. But since Jiang Ming said it was a secret, he naturally would not ask any more questions. Okay, let's go together. After the 2 of them washed up, they went downstairs to the cafeteria. On the way, Jiang Ming also said hello to the housekeeper under the big maple tree. After breakfast, Jiang Ming followed his own habit and went for a morning jog in Shrek Square. When Dai Yuheng saw Jiang Ming running in the morning, he also started running along with him. Unfortunately, this guy doesn't have much endurance. Jiang Ming has finished 100 laps, and this guy has only finished a little more than half of it. After their morning run, Jiang Ming and Dai Yuheng went back to their dormitory, rinsed themselves briefly with water, put on their white school uniforms, and walked towards the teaching building full of energy. Today is the first day of school. I wonder what fun things will happen. The door of the white teaching building has been opened, and a group of freshmen filed in wearing white school uniforms. The left chest of the school uniforms has a small green monster mark symbolizing Shrek Academy. Jiang Ming and Dai Yuheng found the teacher in the first room on the first floor. It said Class 1. This was their class. When the 2 of them entered the classroom, there were still a lot of empty seats in the classroom. They came early and found 2 empty seats and sat down. Then, Jiang Ming took out a book on the structure construction of soul-guided cannonballs and read it carefully. This made Dai Yuheng stun for a while, which was a bit difficult to understand. A 3-ring soul master, a soul master genius whose 3 soul rings are all purple 1,000-year soul rings, is actually reading a book on soul guides? Exclamation mark. Could this mean that the soul master and soul guide are grabbing hold of each other with both hands? Brother, do you want to curl up like this? Exclamation mark. My majestic white tiger duke is not as coquettish as you, even the eldest young master. Chapter 10 Don't dare to fight back after being beaten, you're a loser. At this time, Dai Yuheng's heart was somewhat broken. Obviously before yesterday, he thought that his talent was very good. He could reach the cultivation level of a 3-ring soul master at the age of 12, and he was already a top being among his peers. But after seeing Jiang Ming, his self-confidence was hit repeatedly. The same 3-ring soul master has 3 purple 1,000-year soul rings. At the same age of 12, while practicing as a soul master, he was also studying soul guidance devices. The gap between people is really big. Dai Yuheng silently set a goal in his heart, and he must study hard and practice hard next. Although I definitely can't keep up with the pervert beside me, I can't fall behind too much. He looked at the other students in the classroom. Most of the freshmen were chatting. The beautiful girl was surrounded by a group of boys, and he and Jiang Ming were surrounded by a group of girls. 12 years old. Although adulthood is relatively early in Douluo continent, there are not too many youth hormones at this age. Everyone is just attracted by beautiful things. After observing around, Dai Yuheng discovered that there were 2 different eyes looking at him. To be precise, he looked at Jiang Ming beside him. One of the eyes looked at a pretty girl with blue hair. This girl looks a little cold, and the boys don't dare to approach her. And another look came from a very burly boy. There seemed to be anger hidden in the boy's eyes, mixed with fear, and his eyes were very strange. Dai Yuheng glanced at Jiang Ming, who was deaf to what was going on around him and only focused on reading the soul guidebook, and secretly clicked his tongue. It has only been 2 days since the new students entered school, and this guy seems to have done something incredible. After a few minutes, The classroom bell rang, and it was time for class. Jiang Ming also put down his book after hearing the bell ringing. He wanted to listen carefully to the first class and see what teaching at Shrek Academy was like. The bell stopped and a person walked in from the classroom door. After seeing this person, the boys in the class all widened their eyes. Beauty, our class teacher is actually a beautiful woman. She looks so gentle. It seems that her class will be very easy. The boys and girls in the classroom whispered to each other, and were very curious about this soft-looking head teacher. Soon, the soft-looking head teacher stepped onto the podium, scanning the students in the classroom with his eyes, trying his best to show a majestic posture. But it's a pity that her appearance is so soft that her behavior of trying to show majesty can actually be described as cute. Seeing that the students in the classroom were not intimidated by him and were even laughing, Joyi suddenly felt tired. She became a teacher for the first time this year. Unexpectedly, the most troublesome thing was not the teaching, but her face. My name is Jo Yi, and I am your class teacher, Jo. Yi cheered up and began to introduce herself. Seeing the still cheerful atmosphere in the classroom, Jo Yi frowned and thought of a way. She lowered her voice and tried to present a more serious or even stern tone. I'm not sure how many of you can persist in Shrek Academy. But I want to tell you, in this class, don't take any chances, trash and idiots will definitely be eliminated. As soon as these words came out, the new students who were originally laughing and joking changed their attitudes instantly. You know, to be able to come to Shrek Academy, among their peers, they are absolute geniuses. And now on the first day of school, the teacher calls them trash and idiots. How can the proud geniuses accept this? It works. Joey felt happy. Although the method was a bit extreme, it still somewhat adjusted the atmosphere in the classroom, which was good for the subsequent teaching. This teacher hearing this, Jiang Ming was stunned in his seat. He, as a class teacher, has something special. He looked towards the podium, wanting to see what else the head teacher could do. On the podium, Joyi cleared her throat. Lowering her voice was quite stressful on her throat. She looked at the students and the teacher with sharp eyes. Have any of you had any fights in the past few days since you signed up? The whole class was shocked. Fighting? Fighting on the first day of school? What kind of fierce man is that? After hearing this, some people subconsciously looked at Jiang Ming in the middle of the classroom and the burly classmates who were far away. The freshmen all lived in the same dormitory building. On the first day of registration, Jiang Ming beat up the burly guy and tied him to a tree for the entire afternoon. Many people saw it. Jiang Ming raised his eyebrows, put away the books in his hands, and stood up slowly. Seeing Jiang Ming stand up, the students in the class were shocked again. Especially the students who just completed their registration yesterday and missed the good show, all looked at Jiang Ming in surprise. The students who knew about Jiang Ming's fight were also a little surprised. This is the first lesson of the school year. Even if there was a real fight, we shouldn't admit it. What if the teacher fires me directly? Hey, are you really fighting, Dai? Yu Heng looked horrified when he saw Jiang Ming standing up. No, even if you really get into a fight, don't stand up. What if the teacher just expels you? After a moment of shock, Dai Yu Heng quickly pulled Jiang Ming, trying to get him to sit down. Only one. Who did you hit? Joey looked at Jiang Ming with beautiful eyes, a little disappointed. Jiang Ming ignored Dai Yu Heng's pull and pointed at a burly boy in the back row of the classroom. The boy who was pointed out was startled, and he waved his hands quickly and said, Teacher, I didn't fight him, he did it, and I didn't even fight back. Hearing this, after saying this, Joey narrowed her beautiful eyes, and then shouted loudly, You are also a freshman, and you don't dare to fight back after being beaten by him. Trash. The burly boy was stunned. He originally wanted to get rid of himself when he said this, but he didn't expect that the head teacher actually didn't follow the routine and even scolded him. No, teacher, the burly man wanted to say something else, but Joey interrupted him directly. You, go out and run 100 times around Shrek Square. If you can't finish the race, there is no need for you to stay in Shrek Academy. The burly boy's eyes suddenly widened. He is obviously the one being bullied. Okay, why is it that the one who beats someone is not punished, but he, the victim, has to run around in circles? Teacher, this is not fair, the burly boy protested. Joey raised his eyebrows and said word by word with a gentle face, Yo Haoxun, I count to 3, if you don't run away, you will drop out of school. BR, 3, 2, before he could shout out, Yao Heoksun hurriedly ran out of the classroom and went for a run in Shrek Square. With his strength, it is not difficult to run 100 laps in Shrek Square. If he is kicked out of school because of this, his family will scold him to death. Chapter 11. Is the teacher a relative of yours? Huh? The students in the classroom were shocked. What kind of teacher is this? Exclamation mark. The students who was beaten ran around in circles, but the person who was beaten was fine at all? Exclamation mark. This really challenges their outlook a bit, and they can't understand this teacher's brain circuit at all. Jiang Ming glanced at Yao Heoksun, who ran out of the classroom, and then at the teacher on the podium, also in a daze. He thought he would be punished, but this teacher handled it like this. It's not scientific. Jiang Ming felt that the beating was unscientific, and the others in the classroom were even more shocked. Next to Jiang Ming, Dai Yuheng looked at Jiang Ming and the teacher on the podium with confusion, and asked in a low voice tentatively, Jiang Ming, is this teacher a relative of yours? Dai Yuheng could only think of this relatively reasonable situation for a while, otherwise it would be completely unexplainable. Jiang Ming shook his head. He had been living in Qingshu City, the main city on the edge of the Xianhan Empire, and if there was a relationship in the school, Lao Nai would have told him. Why are you arguing? Now, except for Jiang Ming, everyone else, please go out and run laps for me. 100 laps of Shrek Square. Anyone who can't finish the race will be fired. As soon as Zhou Yi said this, the whole classroom exploded in an instant. Especially the students who were watching and eating melon just now. Seeing that the melon was all on me, I immediately started to fight against the epidemic. Why? Teacher, we didn't fight, nor did we fight back when we were beaten. Why do we have to run too? Someone took the lead, and other people in the class also protested. Period. Zhou Yu looked at the classroom that it was about to boil over, and without saying a word, he activated his martial spirit. The next moment, a terrifying aura emerged from her body and enveloped the entire classroom. 2 yellow, 2 purple, and 1 black, 5 soul rings slowly rose from the soles of her feet, and the soul power fluctuations at the Soul King level instantly suppressed the protesting students. Soul King, feeling the pressure on his body, Jiang Ming frowned slightly and wanted to activate the martial spirit, but after thinking about it, the other party was a teacher after all, so it would not be good to fight. Or gave up the idea. Although the Soul King level warriors are powerful, for Jiang Ming, the pressure is not that great. His golden heart martial spirit is naturally adaptable to this kind of pressure, coupled with his own soul power of up to level 38, although he will be suppressed when facing the Soul King, but compared to other people in the classroom, it could almost be said that they were not suppressed. Seeing Jiang Ming still standing calmly, without even the slightest change in the expression on his face, Zhou Yu felt a little surprised, but she was even more happy. The first year she came from the inner courtyard to teach in the outer courtyard, she unexpectedly met such a good seedling. Why don't you run out quickly? You only have 1 hour. This is your first test for admission. Those who pass can stay temporarily. Those who fail can go through the withdrawal procedures, Zhou Yi calmly said. Hearing what Zhou Yi said, the students didn't dare to delay. They hurriedly ran out of the classroom and started running on the playground. As a teacher from the inner courtyard of Shrek Academy, her teaching philosophy is very different from other teachers in the outer courtyard. Even her teaching methods are different from those of several other teachers from the outer courtyard who came from the inner courtyard. In her opinion, this is Shrek Academy, and these students are soul masters. What the soul master will face in the future is battle. One battle after another. You will get injured, seriously injured, or even die. In this case, the teaching of these students must be strict. Every time you relax in teaching, you are responsible for the future of these students. The students may not understand it now, but it's okay. They will understand it when the gap between them and other soul masters is widened in strength. After all the other students in the classroom left, only Zhou Yi and Jiang Ming were left in the classroom. Come here. Zhou Yi stood on the podium and called Jiang Ming over. Jiang Ming narrowed his eyes slightly, nodded, and walked towards the podium. While walking towards the podium, he quietly circulated his soul power and adjusted his body to the best condition. He knew this was Shrek Academy, and he knew the person in front of him was a teacher, but he just did it instinctively. This habit developed through beatings cannot be changed. Teacher, what can I do? Jiang Ming said with a smile. Zhou Yu looked at Jiang Ming in front of him and nodded with satisfaction. Okay, don't be so alert. I am Teacher Qi, and I am not your enemy. I will not attack you. Just relax. She could see Jiang Ming's state, then it is a state in which you can attack at any time. Generally speaking, even for students in Shrek Academy, this situation generally only occurs among students in the inner academy. And the new student in front of him actually has such vigilance. Awesome. Zhou Yi sighed in his heart. Well, okay, Jiang Ming smiled and restrained himself a little, but his body still remained in a state where he could take action at any time. Seeing this, Zhou Yi was helpless. Knowing that the child would not listen to him now, he gave up. Why did you hit Yao Haoxun? Zhou Yi has already gotten to know the freshmen in the class to a certain extent during this time, but Jiang Ming's beating of Yao Haoxun happened in the freshman dormitory building down. When she first entered school, no one told her about this. Jiang Ming looked straight at Zhou Yi. With the existence of soul power, the development speed of soul masters is much faster than that of ordinary people. In addition, Jiang Ming's golden heart spirit itself has a bonus to the body. So Jiang Ming, who is only 12 years old, is already as tall as Zhou Yi. He was short of mouth and his hands were too weak, so he taught me a lesson. The words were concise, and there was no need to say more details. That's it, Zhou Yi raised her eyebrows, and her understanding of Jiang Ming became deeper. She felt keenly that this guy would be a thorn in the side in the future. But that doesn't matter, this is Shrek Academy. As the #1 Soul Master Academy in the mainland, there are no thorns that cannot be cured here. Zhou Yi looked at Jiang Ming and said softly, fighting is a good thing for freshmen. If you don't fight, you won't get to know each other. It's normal for soul masters to fight between each other. But as long as the classmates in the class don't take the initiative to provoke you, I still hope that you will fight in other classes. It is better to use the gun to the outside world, as long as you don't bully the small ones, don't maim people, don't kill people, and fight. The college will not interfere with the matter. This does not violate the school rules. Hearing this, Jiang Ming's eyes lit up. Isn't fighting against school rules? This is interesting. By the way, Jiang Ming, let me see in your information sheet that your martial spirit is the heart of gold? Is it the heart, Zhou Yi suddenly asked. If it is the heart, then Jiang Ming is the original martial spirit. You must know that the original martial spirit has its own characteristics. The importance of the martial spirit to the body determines the strength of the martial spirit. Needless to say, the importance of the heart to the body is one of the true cores of the human body. If this part is used as a martial spirit, the strength of the martial spirit is also among the top among the original martial arts. Chapter 12. Do you want to eat? Well, yes, Jiang Ming said truthfully. There is no need to hide this. Both of his martial spirits are quite special. In comparison, the golden heart spirit does not have so many secrets. Hi, it's true. The college has found a treasure. Although he was prepared in his heart, Zhou Yi couldn't help but feel happy. This level of body martial spirit is probably extremely rare, let alone Shrek Academy, even the body sect established with the body spirit. Well, very good, Zhou Yi nodded with stern eyes, and then continued, okay, it's okay, you can go out too. Let's run laps. The time is the same as theirs, 100 laps, no less. Jiang Ming blinked, with a hint of confusion in his eyes, but he quickly understood. Well, it turns out everyone wants to run away. Moreover, the teacher also said that his time is the same as everyone else's, but now it has been almost 10 minutes, and it is the same as everyone else's. Is this kind of punishment? Jiang Ming raised his eyebrows, said nothing, turned around and ran out in a few steps. When Jiang Ming came out, other students had already run several laps. Yao Haoxun, who was the first to come out, had already run more than 10 laps and was far ahead. The second place is Jiang Ming's roommate Dai Yuhang, who has also run more than 10 laps. I ran dozens of laps in the morning, and I can still continue running. Well, my physical strength is quite good. Jiang Ming stretched his body and started running. As soon as he started, Jiang Ming's speed immediately increased. 100 laps is stressful for other students. Even if they use soul power, if the speed is too fast, the 30,000 meters will tire them out. But Jiang Ming has no such worries. His physical fitness has reached the level of a soul sect with top beast martial soul masters. Comparable to the Soul King. The soul power of the 38th level is far beyond the comparison of the freshmen around him who are only in their early 20s. What's more, his martial spirit is a heart of gold. This martial spirit has a huge advantage in running. First lap, 50 seconds. This was fast enough, surpassing most of the students in the field. Second lap, 40 seconds. This is already the fastest speed achieved by Dai Yuheng and others. Third lap, 30 seconds. At this time, Jiang Ming's speed has surpassed everyone. Not only that, after Jiang Ming reached this speed, he didn't blush or breath, and just maintained this speed. In this way, Jiang Ming ran 2 laps in the time it took others to run 1 lap. In fact, Jiang Ming can still be faster, but it requires the use of some abilities in martial arts. Let me go, here, is this guy so fast, are you kidding me? Running at this speed, he's not afraid of getting tired and falling down after running 100 laps. Expelled. Wow, he's so handsome. On the Shrek Square 300 meters away, the freshmen started talking when they saw Jiang Ming running so fast. TCH, he just likes to be in the limelight. If he runs like this, he will fall down in less than 100 laps. The strong man who started fighting after entering school is really strong. It's just, it would be a pity if you were expelled before running 100 laps for such a show of force. Some people were disdainful, and some were angry. The freshmen each expressed their opinions on Jiang Ming's behavior. Dai Yuheng, who had been running, also heard these sounds. He didn't speak, just ran silently. He knows Jiang Ming's strength well. It's impossible to not finish 100 laps. Expelled? If the damn 12-year-old and 3 purple 1,000-year soul ring perverts are all expelled, then who does he count? Who are these people in the square? Jiang Ming also heard the sounds in the square, but he didn't want to pay attention to them at all. Without him, there is no meaning. It is a stupid thing to let yourself be disturbed because of other people's comments. 1 lap after another, before he knew it, Jiang Ming had run more than 90 laps. Those who want to see Jiang Ming unable to complete 100 laps due to exhaustion have only completed 60 or 70 laps, and in terms of condition, they are not as good as Jiang Ming. There are still 3 laps left, Jiang Ming counted silently in his heart. After arriving at a certain place, his speed increased again. 3 laps, a distance of nearly 1,000 meters, completed in 1 minute. This speed shocked the entire freshmen in the square. Even Dai Yuheng, who thought he already understood Jiang Ming's strength, was shocked. How strong is this guy's physical fitness? After running 100 laps, Jiang Ming wanted to go back to the classroom and continue reading, but he looked at the classmates in the square and those who had already left. After the teacher walked out of the classroom with a strange expression on his face, Jiang Ming shook his head, walked to a shady place aside, and took out the foldable tables, chairs, and benches from the storage soul guide. After taking out the table, chairs and bench, Jiang Ming looked at the big sun above his head, thought for a while, then took out an ice-patterned melon, cut it into small pieces that were easy to eat with a fruit knife, and put it on the table. On the table, he took out the soul guidebook he had just been reading in the classroom and continued reading. Seeing this scene, the freshmen who were originally shocked were already numb in their hearts. "Are you a human being?" Exclamation mark. Even Dai Yuheng, who had been with Jiang Ming for 1 night and half a day, almost had breathing disorders when he saw Jiang Ming's operation, and his good running rhythm was almost interrupted. No, don't go see him, you can't go see him, Dai Yuheng applied a blind psychological buff to himself, and his face was covered with beads of sweat on his forehead. It was perseverance that kept my pace and continued running. 10 minutes later, Dai Yuheng finally finished the second race, 2 laps faster than Yao Heoxun, who came out first. After running, Dai Yuheng looked at the teacher not far away, and then at Jiang Ming, who was sitting in the shade eating melon and reading a book. He wiped the sweat from his forehead and looked towards Jiang Ming. "Walk over there tomorrow." At this time, Jiang Ming had just finished reading a chapter in the book and had a clearer understanding of the structure of soul-guided cannonballs. The success rate of the soul-guided cannonball should be 70% now. Jiang Ming tapped his fingers on the table rhythmically, thinking in his mind. The success rate of 70% is already quite high, but he had exploded several times in a row before, and he didn't have much prepared materials anymore, so it would be better to be more stable. After all, blowing up a core array would cost dozens of gold soul coins. Do you want to work so hard? You are still taking the exam, Dai Yuheng wiped the sweat from his forehead, walked up to Jiang Ming, and looked at a piece of film in his hand that looked very. The delicious, cool and refreshing melon made my throat involuntarily surge. The assessment? Hasn't it already been completed? Jiang Ming said with some confusion. Daiyuheng didn't know what to say. After all, what Jiang Ming said made sense, but the scene of others sweating on the playground while you eat melon and read a book is really a bit. Do you want to eat? Jiang Ming reached out and picked up a piece of ice pattern melon on the table and handed it to Daiyuheng. Chapter 13 The First Pot of Gold. In the shadows next to Shrek Square, Jiang Ming and Daiyuheng, who had finished running laps and completed the so-called first assessment for freshman admission, were sitting on stools, holding something in their hands that looked very good. I ate ice pattern melons and waited for others to finish. A class should have this kind of team spirit. This melon of yours is pretty good. Where did you buy it? I'll buy two later, after. Eating the ice pattern melon that Jiang Ming handed over, Daiyuheng suddenly became excited. Liked it. Compared to ordinary watermelons, this ice pattern melon is a whole lot better in terms of coolness, juice, and sweetness. You can't buy this melon here, only I have it. Jiang Ming looked at the other freshman who had almost finished running, put down his book and said softly. Huh? Daiyuheng looked at Jiang Ming with a little doubt in his eyes. Haha, this melon was cultivated by us in Qingshu City for 5 years. It took a lot of effort. At present, it should only be sold near Qingshu City. Yes, the ice pattern melon was cultivated in Qingshu City. To be precise, it was cultivated by Jiang Ming's family. Due to the geographical location of Qingshu City is relatively close to the far north and the border between the Xian'an Empire and the Sun and Moon Empire. At that time, Jiang Ming didn't know why, but he suddenly had the idea of crossing a good watermelon with another plant that grows in the far north. Jiang Ming was only 7 years old at that time, so Nang and his wife just treated it as playing with the children, so they helped with it. At first, the hybridization was not very successful, but it showed some possibilities. So, the city lord's palace approved this as a project. After 5 years of continuous selection, we got the current ice pattern melon. If you want to eat, you can buy it from me. We are roommates after all, so I will give you a 10% discount. Jiang Ming's eyes suddenly lit up, as if he had discovered something else. A way to make money. Well, how much does one cost for me? Hearing Jiang Ming say this, Daiyuheng was stunned for a moment, and then the corner of his mouth twitched slightly. He thought Jiang Ming would give him a few gifts for his roommate's sake, but unexpectedly, he would also give him money. Yes. You reminded me. When Jiang Ming heard Daiyuheng's words, an idea suddenly flashed in his mind. Immediately afterwards, he took out 2 more ice pattern melons from the storage ring, cut them into several slices neatly, and then walked towards the freshman who had just finished running with a smile. As an elemental soul master with ice attributes, Ling Luchen is actually not good at running. Jiang Ming and Daiyuheng both rested for almost 10 minutes before she completed 100 laps. At this time, she saw Jiang Ming, whom she had interacted with several times before, walking towards her. He was holding a nice blue fruit that looked like a work of art in his hand, with a gentle smile on his face. This made Ling Luchen's heart beat faster. Soon, Jiang Ming walked to Ling Luchen in 2 or 3 steps. He handed the ice pattern melon to Ling Luchen's hand and said with a smile, "You are tired from running, let's eat a piece of melon to relieve the heat." The gentle smile, gentle tone, and the cool and magnificent ice pattern melon in his hand, which is as beautiful as a work of art, immediately hit Ling Luchen's heart. She nodded shyly, then put the ice pattern melon in her hand into her mouth and took a small bite. As soon as the ice pattern melon was in his mouth, Ling Luchen felt that the heat from running disappeared instantly. It's cool but not ice cold, with plenty of juice and a rustic texture, very sweet. Is it sweet? Jiang Ming asked with a smile. Ling Luchen nodded and whispered. Sweet. The smile on Jiang Ming's face became even brighter. Then, 1 gintama coin and 1 melon. Okay, Ling Luchen subconsciously followed Jiang Ming's words, but the word good came out of his mouth. She finally reacted and looked at Jiang Ming with some confusion. But Jiang Ming didn't care about that. He took out an ice pattern melon the size of a football from his storage soul guide and placed it in Ling Luchen's hand before she could react. Cheng Hua gintama coin. Seeing Jiang Ming's outstretched hand, Ling Luchen's eyes were blank, completely unable to understand Jiang Ming's operation. What? No money? If I don't have money, I can't give it to you. Even if you are good looking, I have to give you money. As he said that, Jiang Ming was about to give the ice pattern bring back the melon. But at this time, Ling Luchen also reacted and directly hugged Bing Wenhua in his arms. No, a silver soul coin, right? I'll give it. Speaking, Ling Luchun took out a money bag from his storage soul guide and took it directly. He gave Jiang Ming a gold soul coin and said generously that there was no need to look for it. Jiang Ming laughed heartily and wondered if he had set the price a little too low. Although this ice pattern melon looks relatively rare, Qingshu City has actually mastered the method of large-scale cultivation. In recent years, with a continuous increase in production, the price of ice pattern melons in Qingshu City has increased. It becomes 5 copper soul coins each. He had already doubled the price for a silver soul coin he sold, but he didn't expect that the silly beauty in front of him would actually offer a gold soul coin. Oh, I really don't have the potential to be a profiteer. Or maybe, these freshmen of Shrek Academy are too rich. Jiang Ming silently made a new evaluation of the wealth possessed by these new students, and then walked towards the next buyer who had just completed the circle. 10 minutes later, Jiang Ming had 10 more gold soul coins and a dozen silver soul coins in his hand. Among the 10 gold soul coins, 7 or 8 were taken advantage of, like Ling Luchun, who directly bought a melon for 1 gold soul coin. As for the other 2 or 3, I bought 4 or 5 melons, and they all said there was no need to look for them. The remaining Gintama coins are some relatively real new students, 1 for each Gintama coin. Of course, Jiang Ming knew that most of the dozens of people in the class bought his own melons. Apart from the fact that the ice pattern melons were really good and they had just finished a run, there were also people who wanted to have a good relationship with him. There's a lot of thought and a little bit of fear in it. You know, even though it is just a freshman enrollment now, Jiang Ming's name has already been deeply rooted in the hearts of the people and has been deeply remembered by every student in the class. The ruthless guy who started fighting in school, the strong guy who came nearly 20 minutes late but ran 100 laps more than half an hour ahead of them. Oh, there are also profiteers who take advantage of the opportunity to sell melons. Although Jiang Ming also thoughtfully provided melon cutting services, Jiang Ming's behavior of selling melons in class has been labeled as a profiteer by the freshmen. Jiang Ming's image has been established in the hearts of many students. Although it's somewhat unflattering, Jiang Ming doesn't care. Ahem, Zhou Yi, who was watching the whole process, coughed lightly and walked over when he saw that the last person had finished running and most of the people were eating melon. Period. You. Chapter 14. Are you a 4th level soul engineer? Exclamation mark. Looking at the freshmen who were eating melons one after another, Zhou Yi looked up and saw herself. They seemed to be frightened and didn't know what to do with the melons in their hands. Zhou Yi glared at Jiang Ming, who was counting the harvest. Said helplessly, let's finish eating first, and then we'll talk about it later. The freshmen felt relieved and continued to eat melon happily. And those people who secretly threw the melons into the trash can, when they saw the teacher coming, couldn't help but stand on tiptoes and looked at the melons that were already in the trash can when they heard the teacher say this, feeling regretful in their hearts. Damn, my hands are fast. 1 Gintama coin, obviously, not everyone, even the freshmen of Shrek Academy, is that rich. While the freshmen were eating melon, Zhou Yi walked up to Jiang Ming, and she didn't know what tone to use to speak. It seems wrong to criticize him for selling melons in class. After all, this is not included in the school rules. Praise him, it seems weird. Oh, this little guy is really funny. Zhou Yi sighed secretly, and finally decided to warn Jiang Ming, otherwise eating melon would easily delay her class time. Before Zhou Yi could speak, Jiang Ming very sensibly handed a piece of ice pattern melon in front of her. Teacher, it's hot, let's eat melon. Looking at Jiang Ming's sincere eyes, Zhou Yi pursed her lips and hesitated for a moment. Don't worry, teacher, this piece of melon is given to you, no money is required, Jiang Ming explained. Good guy. As soon as these words came out, Zhou Yi couldn't hold himself any longer. Teacher, you are not so poor that you, a freshman, can eat for nothing. How much is it? I will give it to you. Zhou Yi took out a gold soul coin and put it on the table angrily. It fell into Jiang Ming's hands, and then he ate it like the freshman with peace of mind. Not to mention, this melon tastes much better than ordinary melons. Zhou Yi, who was eating melon, thought secretly in his heart. Jiang Ming looked at the golden soul coin in his hand and was a little dazed. This teacher feels like he is more taken advantage of than that little beauty with ice blue hair. 1 piece of melon costs 1 gold soul coin. A few minutes later, everyone had finished a melon. Afterwards, Zhou Yi gave the freshmen some time to go back to their dormitories to change clothes. 100 laps and 30,000 meters of continuous running is quite tiring even for these freshmen who are already soul masters, and they will definitely break out in a sweat. Going back to class with a smell of sweat will definitely affect your learning efficiency. Of course, except Jiang Ming, one of the freshmen. After running 100 laps, he barely broke a sweat. He went straight back to the classroom and took out the Soul guidebook he had just read and started reading again. The other freshmen went back to the dormitory to wash up and change clothes. Only Zhou Yi and Jiang Ming were left in the classroom. Seeing Jiang Ming take out the book about soul guides again, Zhou Yi's eyes narrowed, walked to Jiang Ming's side, and said softly, "Are you very interested in soul guides?" Jiang Ming turned to look at Zhou Yi, nodded, and said, "Yes, I am indeed very interested." After hearing Jiang Ming's affirmative answer, Zhou Yi's expression changed. Then a decision seemed to be made. "Since you are so interested in soul guides, come with me to place after class." After saying this, Zhou Yi returned to the podium. Jiang Ming, on the other hand, was a little confused and didn't understand what this sweet-looking but grumpy teacher meant, so he could only continue to devote himself to reading. Actually, at his current level, reading books can no longer improve him much. He needs to make it by hand. But several previous failures consumed a lot of the materials he had prepared. Although he had just regained a wave of blood, Jiang Ming is now much more cautious in this regard. No matter how rich you are, you can't mess around, let alone he is not that rich yet. Soon, the freshmen all finished changing their clothes and returned to the classroom refreshed. The course officially began. Jiang Ming also put down the books in his hands and listened carefully. In this first class, Zhou Yi did not talk about pure martial arts knowledge, but talked about the influence of soul guides on soul masters, and the difference between soul masters and soul masters. Zhou Yi explained it very well, giving Jiang Ming a clearer understanding of soul masters and soul mentors, as well as the advantages and disadvantages between them. It's just that this teacher seems to like to be lazy. After talking about some practical information, she actually announced that the get out of class was over. You know, it's still at least half an hour before the bell rings. Although it has been seen from the various behaviors of this teacher that she is not an ordinary teacher, this is too casual. Jiang Ming silently labeled this teacher as sweet-looking, grumpy, someone who was taken advantage of, and who left work early. After class, Zhou Yi took Jiang Ming directly out of the freshman teaching building and walked towards a building that Jiang Ming was familiar with. "Teacher Zhou, are we going to the Soul Guidance Department?" Jiang Ming couldn't help but ask. "Huh? How do you know, Zhou?" Yi was a little surprised. Although the Soul Guidance Department and the Martial Soul Department are in the same area, generally speaking, the Martial Soul Department and the Soul Guidance Department are basically, students can't meet each other. "Because I took this route last time when I went to the Soul Guidance Department," Jiang Ming cursed in his heart, and then responded, "I've been here once before." Hearing this, Zhou Yi nodded and said, "It seems that you really like soul guides. Although your martial soul is a top-notch martial soul, if you can also have it on the soul guide, if you make certain achievements, it will greatly improve your strength." Shrek Academy's Martial Soul Department and Soul Guidance Department have always been difficult to deal with. This tradition seems to have been passed down from the dean, and even the teachers of the Martial Soul Department are not interested in the Soul Guidance Department. But Zhou Yi is an exception, because her boyfriend is in the Soul Guidance Department, and his status in the Soul Guidance Department is not low. Jiang Ming didn't know what Zhou Yi meant by bringing him to the Soul Guidance Department, but he still followed him until he entered the Soul Guidance Department and saw a very tall and muscular man. When he heard Zhou Yi call this man Fan Yu, Jiang Ming frowned. He seemed to have heard this name somewhere. After thinking about it, Jiang Ming suddenly realized, isn't Fan Yu the person recommended to him by the former dormitory supervisor? At that time, the dormitory manager said that he could teach me. And now, judging from the relationship between teacher Zhou and this Fan Yu, they are not a couple, right? Jiang Ming saw Zhou Yi taking Fan Yu aside and whispered something. During the conversation, Fan Yu's expression kept changing, ranging from shock to disbelief. During this period, he turned his head and looked at himself with deep suspicion in his eyes. After a few minutes, the two ended their conversation. Fan Yu walked to Jiang Ming's side with a very solemn look in his eyes. "Are you a 4th-level soul engineer? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels." Chapter 15 Lao Nai, you are inappropriate. Level 4 Soul Engineer? I am not, Jiang Ming was a little surprised, and then denied it. Huh? Zhou Yi, did you lie to me, Fan? Yu turned to look at his girlfriend, with a trace of doubt in his eyes. He knew his girlfriend, she wouldn't joke about something like this. You are not a 4th level soul engineer? Then you are reading a book with a 4th level soul guide cannonball? And you look interested in it? Don't tell me you are pretending. Zhou Yi suddenly opened her beautiful eyes and said angrily. Based on Jiang Ming's performance, his persistence in soul guidance devices, and the contents of the soul guidance device books he read, she concluded that Jiang Ming was a 4th level soul master. But if not, then she really made a big mistake. Oh, you said this, Jiang. Ming scratched his head, with an innocent smile on his face. He said softly, I am indeed not a 4th level soul engineer. I haven't gotten the badge of a 4th level soul engineer yet. As for that book, I'm ashamed to say that I've been reading it for many days. As a result, the 4th level soul engineer, there will always be some problems with a core array since the missile shells have been unable to be built. Wait. Hearing this, Fan Yu frowned suddenly, and then seemed to thinking of something. His eyes became serious. You said you haven't gotten the badge of the 4th level soul engineer yet, Jiang. Ming nodded and continued, I was going to get it originally, but these days didn't I come to Shrek Academy to enroll, so I was delayed? Moreover, I don't seem to be able to get a badge of a 4th level soul engineer. After all, I haven't even successfully made a 4th level soul guide shell once. As he said that, Jiang Ming looked a little annoyed. When he was in Qingshu City, he made a level 4 soul guide, but it was the simplest level 4 soul guide. His goal is to get out the 4th level soul guide cannonball, and then apply for the 4th level soul guide badge. Unfortunately, he never succeeded. This soul guidance cannonball is different from other soul guidance devices. Once there is a problem with the core array, it will explode directly. In the past few days, he spent a lot of money, but still failed. So, he urgently needs a powerful soul mentor who can guide him and break through this long-standing dilemma. Gilu. After listening to Jiang Ming's words, Fan Yu and Zhou Yi were stunned. The way he looked at Jiang Ming was like looking at a monster. The two of them were even more shocked. What is the concept of a 4th level soul master? That's a level that can directly graduate from the soul guidance department of Shrek Academy. As a result, this kid just entered school. Still 12 years old. The more Fan Yu thought about it, the more his mouth became dry and his eyes gradually became hot when he looked at Jiang Ming. Suddenly, his eyes narrowed, he looked at Jiang Ming with confusion, and said in a deep voice, You are so talented in soul guidance, why did you end up in the martial arts department? This is something Fan Yu finds very incomprehensible. A 12-year-old 4th level soul engineer. Even if their judging standards are a little looser than those of the Sun and Moon Empire, this is definitely an unparalleled genius. At least, in Fan Yu's decades of life, he has never seen such a monster-level soul guide genius. I don't know about the Sun and Moon Empire, but even if there are geniuses of this level, there are definitely not many. Maybe not even. Well, the recommendation letter Lao Nai gave me recommended the martial arts department, Jiang Ming answered truthfully. Old Nai? Who is Old Nai? How could he recommend a soul tool genius like you to the martial arts department? This is simply inappropriate. Fan Yu felt like he was about to explode with anger. Even he, who has always had a good temper, almost couldn't help spitting out dirty words. In his opinion, the soul guidance system is the best choice for Jiang Ming, a soul guidance genius. Go to the martial arts department? Would that bury his talent? Old Nai is my adoptive father, Jiang Ming said with a serious look. Although Old Nai is not his biological father in this world, he already treats Old Nai as a father. No one is allowed to scold him. Your adoptive father, Fan Yu blinked, then took a few deep breaths to calm down the turbulent emotions in his heart, and then apologized without any form. Sorry, I was too emotional just now. But, even your adoptive father can't make such an outrageous choice. A 12-year-old 4th level soul engineer. Give him the martial soul system, what do you think? Fan Yu can't understand, really can't understand. In his opinion, even people who don't understand soul guidance tools or soul mentors should know that this child is more suitable for soul guidance after seeing Jiang Ming's terrifying soul guidance talent. That's right. How can this be sent to the martial arts department? Exclamation mark. At this time, Zhou Yi suddenly pulled Fan Yu and whispered, Fan Yu, this child's martial spirit is the original martial spirit. Fan Yu was stunned for a moment. The extremely puzzled person seemed to have an explanation when he heard the 4 words body martial spirit. Body spirit? What part, Fan Yu's face became a little heavy. If it was a martial soul, it would be much more difficult for him to recruit people from the martial soul system. I hope it's not an important part. In that case, he can contact the dean of the soul guidance department to ask for someone. But Zhou Yi's words directly broke his luck. This child's martial spirit is the heart of gold. The heart's own martial spirit. Moreover, I tested this morning and I'm afraid this child's soul power has reached more than 30 levels. For an instant, Fan Yu's body seemed to be sealed by something, motionless, like a human sculpture. A few seconds later, a sound that resounded throughout the soul guidance device testing field suddenly exploded. What did you say, such? A high-pitched and extremely shocked voice directly attracted the attention of everyone present, who were still practicing and testing the soul guide here. Several students couldn't help but come over to ask what happened, but Fan Yu waved them away and drove them back. Fan Yu frowned, and his rather handsome face was now twisted together, like a constipated patient making his last effort. He glanced at Jiang Ming, his face a little anxious, muttering to himself, and kept walking in circles. How come the 12-year-old soul master, the original martial soul golden heart, has such a strong talent as a soul master? It's over now, it's over. It's absolutely impossible for the martial soul department to let him go. After much thought, Fan Yu still couldn't think of a way. The people in the martial arts department are not fools. If geniuses of this level can be placed in the soul guidance department, then their eyes can be donated directly. But, a 12-year-old 4th-level soul engineer? My God. Old Nai, why did you recommend him to the martial arts department? Although Fan Yu has never met Lao Nai, his resentment towards Lao Nai is already skyrocketing at this moment. So much so that in Qingshu City near the far north, Lao Nai Lian, who is guiding and training Qingshu City soldiers, sneezed a few times. Old Nai sniffed and looked in the direction of Shrek Academy in the distance with a smile on his face. Jiang Ming must have missed me at Shrek Academy. Chapter 16 Dual Cultivation. At the Soul Guidance System testing site, Fan Yu couldn't calm down after scolding the old Nai he had never met several times in his heart. A good young man of this level, why is he not a freshman in the Soul Guidance Department? Fan Yu, don't be too entangled. Seeing her boyfriend being so entangled, Zhou Yi couldn't help but comfort him. How can I not be entangled, Fan Yu groaned in pain and looked at his cute and beautiful girlfriend with a bitter look on his face. Ziai, you have posed a big problem for me. With this child's talent as a soul master, the guys from the martial arts department will definitely not let him go. Even if I let Xianlin if Dean goes to ask for someone, even the martial arts department will not let him go. But, he is such a good seedling, Fan Yu finally sighed helplessly. Seeing Fan Yu's reaction, Jiang Ming blinked and asked tentatively, Teacher Fan Yu, are you okay? Because of the golden heart martial spirit, he could hear Fan Yu's heart rate, which was always high. This heart rate, how should I put it, if an ordinary person, his blood vessel would have burst by now. Fan Yu looked back at Jiang Ming, with a face so painful that he almost cried. It's okay, it's just okay. Fan Yu didn't know what to say, and it took a long time to suppress his surging emotions. He looked at Zhou Yi and Jiang Ming, feeling a little exhausted. So, what are you two doing here? You're not just using this to stimulate me, are you? Hearing this, Zhou Yi suddenly replied over the top. Yes, she didn't bring Jiang Ming here just to stimulate her boyfriend. She said quickly, of course I didn't bring him here to stimulate you. This child is very interested in soul guides, and judging from his talent, dual cultivation does not seem to hinder him. His cultivation is progressing, so I thought about whether I could let him practice both as a soul master and as a soul master. This is the purpose of Zhou Yi bringing Jiang Ming here. You know, although Fan Yu is her boyfriend, and he is still the kind of boyfriend who talks about marriage, she is the teacher of the martial arts department. Even if she is a boyfriend, she cannot possibly let this kind of genius who is bound to become the core disciple of the outer courtyard of the martial arts department and almost certainly can enter the inner courtyard to the soul guidance department. Double cultivation of soul master and soul master. Fan Yu frowned again when he heard Zhou Yi's thoughts. For ordinary soul masters, they can only choose between a soul master and a soul mentor, because whether it is a soul master or a soul mentor, it takes a long time to practice. Bit off more than you can chew. So, ordinary soul masters choose one of the two. but maybe a truly talented player like Jiang Ming can give it a try. First of all, before Jiang Ming entered Shrek Academy, he was a 4th level Soul Master, and he was also a 3rd level Soul Master. This means that before entering Shrek Academy, he was a double major. And they have all cultivated to the level of geniuses. No, super geniuses. Secondly, the early training of Soul Masters and Soul Mentors is relatively simple. If you don't have enough energy in the future, it's not too late to make a choice at that time. And if Jiang Ming can cultivate both of these paths to the peak, Fan Yu was shocked. If these 2 paths have been cultivated to the peak, it means that Jiang Ming will be the strongest person in the entire Douluo continent, including the Sun and Moon Empire. The Khan without any suspense. Thinking of this, Fan Yu's eyes suddenly glowed with blazing light. If Jiang Ming can really reach that level in the future, then he, as a teacher, will definitely be able to leave his name in history. Okay, after thinking about it, Fan Yu nodded directly. Your name is Jiang Ming, right? You go back and prepare. Starting tomorrow, you can go directly. He originally wanted to say that Jiang Ming could come directly to the Soul Guidance Department to take classes, but before he could say anything, he felt a faint anger from his girlfriend next to him. Forget it, after you finish taking Teacher Zhou Yi's class, you can come to me at any time in the Soul Guidance Department, and I will teach you Soul Guidance tools. Hearing this, Jiang Ming buddy shook his head and said seriously, Teacher Fan Yu, Teacher Zhou Yi's class has ended today. I want to learn the Soul Guide with you today. Hearing this, Zhou Yi and Fan Yu couldn't help but be stunned. Immediately, Fan Yu laughed loudly. You are worthy of being a genius who has mastered both soul mastering and soul mastering to such an extent at the age of 12. It seems that not only are you highly talented, but you are also far superior to others in terms of diligence. In that case, then come with me. Let me see what's wrong with your level 4 soul-guided cannonball. Zai, go back first. Said, Fan Yu took Jiang Ming away from the soul guide testing site and came to a relatively closed and quiet environment. Researching and making soul guides is a very energy-consuming task, and accidents may also occur. Especially soul-guided artillery shells, if an accident occurs, the probability of explosion is extremely high. Therefore, a quiet and safe environment is a must. Of course, with Fan Yu, a powerful soul mentor, the chance of the soul guide exploding is still very small. In the room, Jiang Ming took out most of the parts of the soul-guided cannonball that he had completed. A cannon shell about half a meter long with a maximum diameter of 20 centimeters, and metal blocks covering the table. Some of these metal blocks have been successfully carved, some have not yet been completed, and some are scraps, but the ones that have not exploded, Jiang Ming is not willing to throw away. Good guy, you really have enough parts. I'm afraid this is enough to make 2 level 4 soul-guided artillery shells. Fan Yu was a little surprised when he saw the table full of parts, and stretched out his hand to start sorting them into categories. In less than a minute, some scattered parts on the table have been divided into 3 categories. Here is the metal that you have finished carving. I have to say that your talent is really good. But the way of carving seems to be a bit biased. Although it is barely usable, the power will be much less. Fan Yu judged Jiang Ming's level directly from the metal block carved by Jiang Ming. These are scraps. I guess you have exploded several metal blocks, right, Fan Yu asked with a chuckle. Jiang Ming nodded. He had indeed exploded several times, no less than 5 times on the way to Shrek Academy. Even the carriage was blown up. Sure enough. Although your talent is strong, there are some problems with a method of cultivating soul guides before, which is not a good thing in this way. In the next month, I will find a way to use your change the habit of drawing the soul guidance device circle, and then try to make the 4th level soul guidance cannonball. As for your unfinished metal blocks, don't waste them. Come over and I will teach you how to draw them. Said, Fan Yu stepped aside and let Jiang Ming come to the middle. By the way, you should have a carving knife, right? Jiang Ming nodded again, and then took out a slender light golden carving knife. Fan Yu took a look, nodded and said softly, the carving knife is good. You should be able to hold on until you become a 7th level soul master. If there is a chance in the future, I will help you find a carving knife that is listed on the list. For now, your carving knife is completely sufficient. Next, listen carefully, I will teach you how to complete this level 4 soul-guided cannonball. Chapter 17 The Power of the First Level 4 Soul-Guided Cannonball. The production of level 4 soul-guided cannonballs is very complicated, at least in Jiang Ming's eyes. The metal blocks placed on the table that depict the core array took him at least 7 days. But now, with teacher Fan Yu giving practical examples and teaching at the same time, in just half a day, all the parts of the entire 4th level soul-guided cannonball have been completed by Jiang Ming. And the assembly is complete. He spent 7 days studying dozens of books on his own but could not figure out something. With a professional teacher, it only took half a day. This surprised Jiang Ming. Is this done, Jiang? Ming looked at the level 4 soul-guided cannonball on the table, his eyes full of joy. Fan Yu on the side was even more surprised. When he was just making and assembling this level 4 soul-guided cannonball, he played a supporting role, helping Jiang Ming not go astray in the depiction of the magic circle on the metal block. The level 4 soul-guided cannonball in front of him can almost be said to have been completed by him alone. Level 4 soul-guided artillery shells. There are many students who graduated from the soul guidance department and are unable to make this thing. Alice, whether you are a soul master or a soul mentor, talent is really important. Fan Yu looked at the level 4 soul guide cannonball and looked left and right, unable to put it down. Jiang Ming sighed in his heart. Teacher Fan Yu, I want to try the power of this cannonball. After looking at it carefully for a minute, Jiang Ming held the cannonball and turned to look at Fan Yu. When things like cannonballs are made, people only care about one thing. That's power. This thing is a one-time consumable. Once used, it will explode directly and there is no possibility of secondary use. So, the power is the most important thing about this shell. Are you sure? This is the first soul-guided cannonball you have made. Don't you want to keep it for collection, Fan Yu asked in surprise. Jiang Ming shook his head, his eyes firm. Cannonballs can only exert their greatest value when they explode. It makes no sense to me to collect them. What's more, I will definitely be able to make better soul-guided cannonballs in the future. Take this one. Let's get off to a good start. Hearing what Jiang Ming said, Fan Yu said nothing more and took Jiang Ming back to the soul guidance device testing side of the soul guidance department. This testing ground was built by the soul guidance department with a lot of manpower and material resources. It can conduct tests of soul guidance devices of level 5 and below, including soul guidance cannonballs. As for soul guides above level 5, the destructive power is too great, and ordinary materials cannot withstand that level of power. As for these students in the outer college of the soul guidance department, they can only use level 5 soul guidance tools at most. After all, the requirement for graduation from the outer college of the soul guidance department is a 4th level soul engineer who can withstand level 5 soul guidance tools. The powerful testing ground is completely sufficient for the outer courtyard. Soon, the two came to the testing area for soul-guided cannonballs. Fan Yu took out a cannon barrel, about 1.5 meters long, with a caliber of about 20 centimeters, which was enough to fire Jiang Ming's cannonball. Fan Yu opened the barrel from behind and asked Jiang Ming to stuff the cannonball in, and then placed the barrel on Jiang Ming's shoulder. It has to be said that the main body martial soul's amplification effect on the body is really strong, especially the top main body martial soul. Although the 12-year-old Jiang Ming looks a bit young compared to the tall and muscular Fan Yu, he can easily carry the barrel weighing several dozen kilograms. Come on, aim at the black iron in front of you and bombard it directly. Fan Yu guided Jiang Ming to start the test, although Jiang Ming was already certain that he was a 4th level soul master. But after all, this is his first time here to test the soul guide. If it misses, it will be an accident. Following Fan Yu's guidance, Jiang Ming aimed the muzzle at a piece of black iron a few hundred meters ahead, and directly activated his soul power to activate the magic circle in the soul cannon. Bang! A huge recoil came from his shoulders. Jiang Ming's body swayed, but his feet still stood firmly in place. A few hundred meters away, when the soul-guided cannonball made by Jiang Ming collided with a 3-meter-high piece of black iron. Boom! A violent roar sounded, carrying a strong wave of air, rushing directly towards Jiang Ming. Jiang Ming narrowed his eyes slightly, stepped back with his right foot, slightly bent his knees, and made a defensive posture with his hands. The air wave generated by the explosion of the 4th level soul-guided cannon cannot be ignored by him at present. If he is not careful, he will be injured. Fan Yu on the side was very indifferent. He just stretched out his hand. As his soul power surged, a black light appeared in front of the two of them, forming a defensive layer to isolate the incoming airwaves. Is this a defensive soul guide? Jiang Ming's eyes narrowed slightly when he saw this black protective cover. From the perspective of defense strength, this is at least a level 5 defensive soul tool. This teacher Fan Yu is indeed a powerful soul mentor. The air wave dissipated, and the black iron shrouded in flames reappeared in front of the two of them. At this time, a football-sized hole had been blown out of the black iron, but it was nothing compared to the 3-meter-high black iron. Well, sure enough, the power is much worse, Fan. Yu looked at the holes in the black iron, pinched his chin with his fingers, and sounded as I expected. He looked at Jiang Ming and said in a deep voice, "Look, your level 4 soul-guided cannonball only blasted a hole the size of a football in that piece of black iron. For normal level 4 soul-guided shells, the hole should be a little bigger." Jiang Ming looked at the black iron that had a football-sized hole blown out, and frowned slightly, feeling a little disappointed. Although this was only the first soul-guided cannonball he made, its power did not meet his expectations. "Can I go over there and have a look?" Jiang Ming thought for a while and looked at Fan Yu beside him, his eyes very persistent. "Of course, there are only two of us here. Come on, I will show you." The two came to Zhuanti and carefully observed the 3-meter-high piece. Black walls that look extremely thick. When he got closer, Jiang Ming saw that there were many fine holes on this piece of black iron, some large and some small. The big ones are bigger than the football-sized holes made by Jiang Ming, and the small ones are smaller than fists, but they are very deep. Jiang Ming tried to knock on the piece of black iron. The sound was dull and the back of his hand hurt. Obviously, this thing is very hard. This black iron was accidentally discovered by the Dean of the Soul Guidance Department when he was traveling. It has no other qualities, but it is very hard. Unless it is a level 6 Soul Guidance shell, it is impossible to hit it broken. Fan Yu smiled, looked at Jiang Ming, and continued, "Strictly speaking, your Soul Guidance Cannonball cannot be regarded as level 4. It is not powerful enough, but it exceeds the level of level 3. Next, you can come to the Soul Guidance Department every day when you have time. Let me think about it. With your talent, you should be able to make a real level 4 soul-guided cannonball in a month." Jiang Ming nodded his head, his eyes shining with anticipation. Chapter 18 Jiang Ming's Perseverance. In the next month, Jiang Ming will be very busy. So busy. In the morning, I get up, have breakfast, go for a run, go back and take a shower before going to work in class. Joey's class time is actually not fixed. As long as she finishes what she wants to say, get out of class will end directly, regardless of whether the bell rings or not. As soon as get out of class was over, Jiang Ming went straight to the Soul Guidance Department without saying a word. He didn't even go to the cafeteria for lunch and stayed in the Soul Guidance Department to eat. If there is a class in the afternoon, Jiang Ming will go back to class and continue running the Soul Guidance Department after class. In the evening, Jiang Ming usually doesn't return to his dormitory until 10 o'clock. After returning to the dormitory, he just washes up and starts meditating. Very fulfilling. Really fulfilling. This feeling is even more fulfilling than when Jiang Ming was in his senior year of high school. As the soul power continues to grow, the knowledge about soul masters in his mind becomes more and more abundant, and the physical fitness not only increases, but all these changes make Jiang Ming happy. In the blink of an eye, a month has passed. In the 6th laboratory of the Soul Guidance System test area, when Jiang Ming completed the last step, a brand new level 4 fixed Soul Guidance Cannonball appeared in front of him. Yes, it is not an ordinary soul-guided cannonball, it is a custom-made soul-guided cannonball. This is what Fan Yu taught Jiang Ming. Customized soul-guided cannonballs are much more powerful than ordinary soul-guided cannonballs. Successful, Jiang Ming wiped away the fine beads of sweat on his forehead, his eyes sparkling. Under the guidance of teacher Fan Yu, after a month of hard work, he corrected all the bad habits he had accumulated when he was studying soul guides, and also completed a true 4th level customized soul guided artillery shells. In this month, he only did these 2 things in the Soul Guidance Department. And obviously, the effect is significant. Fan Yu next to me was filled with wonder after seeing this level 4 fixed soul guided artillery shell. Although he felt that with Jiang Ming's talent and foundation, Jiang Ming could make a qualified 4th level custom-made soul guided artillery shell by himself in a month. But when this level 4 fixed soul guided cannonball was actually made, he was still shocked. You know, when an ordinary 4th level soul engineer makes a soul guided cannonball, it will take at least a year to complete it. This is still under the guidance of the teacher. And now, Jiang Ming has 1 month left. And during this month, Jiang Ming spent a lot of energy on correcting some bad habits in the production of soul guides. In other words, he didn't even have half the time to actually study the 4th level fixed soul-guided artillery shells. But Jiang Ming completed this level 4 custom-installed soul-guided artillery shell. And the finish is very good. Even his critical eye couldn't find any problems. Will you try again this time? Fan Yu suppressed the shock in her heart, looked at Jiang Ming, and asked softly. Jiang Ming nodded without hesitation. For him, explosion is the real way to test this shell. Even if this cannonball seems to have no problem now, as long as it has not been tested, no conclusion can be drawn. Practice is always the only criterion for testing truth. Soon, Fan Yu took Jiang Ming to the testing area of soul-guided cannonballs again. As a violent roar sounded, a hole the size of a basketball appeared on the piece of black iron. Successful. It was not until this moment that Jiang Ming finally felt relieved, and a bright smile appeared at the corner of his mouth involuntarily. Level 4 fixed installation soul-guided artillery shells. He has been waiting for this explosion and this result for a month. In this month, his soul power has reached level 40. Yes, after a month of training, Jiang Ming's soul power has broken through from level 38 to level 40. In addition to the constant meditation and practice every night, what is actually more important is the increase in practice brought to him by the 3 elves of his first martial spirit. His own martial soul is extremely top-notch. In addition, he meditates and practices every night. There is no problem in improving his soul power by 1 level in a month. In addition, the 3 elves have doubled their cultivation. Only then did his cultivation reach level 40. Jiang Ming, you are really the most powerful genius I have ever seen in the field of soul guidance. I can guarantee that even in the Sun and Moon Empire, there is no one with more talent than you. After seeing the experimental power of this level 4 fixed soul-guided cannonball, Fan Yu was no longer surprised. With his eyesight, he was able to see the power of this cannonball when it was just taking shape. The current power was within his expectation. Nowhere, Teacher Fan Yu, I just prefer to study soul guides. I may have some talent, but without your help, I would probably still be stuck. Jiang Ming smiled shyly and didn't pay much attention to things like talent. No matter how powerful your talent is, it is all vain until it is transformed into strength. Haha. You are quite humble. Although I have helped you a little, the most important thing is your efforts this month, otherwise this level 4 fixed soul-guided artillery shell will not be completed, Fan Yu said, but there was also a big smile on his face. Being able to teach a good youngster with such a strong talent and hard work is a very proud thing for him. Oh, by the way, I'm quite curious, why are you so interested in soul-guided cannonballs? Suddenly, Fan Yu asked a question that had always been in his mind. Logically speaking, soul guidance cannonballs are one of the most complex types of soul guidance weapons of the same level. Generally speaking, soul mentors are unlikely to be obsessed with this aspect when learning soul guidance weapons. Jiang Ming's eyes dimmed slightly, as if he remembered some bad memories. Seeing Jiang Ming like this, the smile on Fan Yu's face disappeared and he said softly, "You don't have to say it if you don't want to. The teacher is just asking casually." Jiang Ming was silent for a while, then raised his head with a forced smile on his face. "There is nothing that cannot be said. Teacher Fan Yu, do you know that I am an orphan? My father and mother died in the war between the Sky Soul Empire and the Sun and Moon Empire when I was 1 year old. For the past 10 years, I have lived with Lao Nai and Aunt Lan in Qingxia City, which is close to the far north and very close to the border of the Sun and Moon Empire. There, we are not only. He has to face the armies of the Sun and Moon Empire and the soul beasts from the far north. Every day, Lao Nai has to patrol with the Qingxia City Defense Force to be on guard against the Sun and Moon Empire and fight against those who escape from the far north. Soul Beast. In the most dangerous times, people will die almost every day in Qingxia City. I don't want to let everyone die, so I want to become stronger. Soul Master. Mentor, I am willing to try them all. The reason why I am particularly interested in soul-guided cannonballs is because the most powerful ones on the walls of Qingxia City are soul-guided cannonballs. The existence of each soul-guided cannonball can reduce some casualties. Having said this, the smile on Jiang Ming's face became much brighter. I am very lucky. When I awakened my martial soul, I awakened the top martial soul. A few years ago, I also discovered that I have a powerful soul mentor talent. But this is not enough. I want to turn these into become a powerful force. Only strong power can defeat powerful enemies and reduce the crying of people in Qingshu City. Chapter 19 Women will only delay the birth of a great soul master. After listening to the reasons stated by Jiang Ming, Fan Yu fell silent. He thought about many possibilities, but never thought of this one. In order to repel powerful enemies, in order to reduce people's cries. This is coming from a 12-year-old child. At this moment, Fan Yu felt that the child in front of him seemed to be emitting a shining golden light. This light is so dazzling, so sacred. Good boy, Fan Yu, whose eyes turned red, and there were faint tears in his eyes. In this case, I, Fan Yu, will definitely teach you to become the most powerful soul mentor. Let you reach the pinnacle of soul mentors. A few days later, when Jiang Ming had already, after becoming completely familiar with the production of custom-made soul-guided cannonballs, he temporarily put down the production of custom-made soul-guided cannonballs, and instead started researching another type of soul-guided cannon under Fan Yu's guidance. Bottle. Actually, Jiang Ming wanted to try this when he was in Qingshu City, but at that time, he was more interested in soul-guided cannonballs. Moreover, at that time, he had not studied and understood the soul-guided cannonball, so the milk bottle could only be shelved. But now, he has a powerful soul mentor as his teacher, and he has mastered the method of making fixed soul-guided cannonballs. So, now you can start with a bottle. Baby bottle, similar to a battery. This thing can be used on soul guides as a driving energy source for custom-installed soul guides. It can also be used on soul masters to replenish soul power. It can be said to be a must-have soul guide device for home travel, murder and arson. However, this thing is also very difficult to make. It can even be said that it is a kind of soul guidance device that is more difficult than making custom-made soul guidance cannonballs. Of course, it's hard to come back, but under the guidance of Fan Yu, a powerful soul mentor teacher, and with the support of Jiang Ming's powerful soul mentor talent, learning how to make baby bottles is not a big problem. It just takes a little bit. It's just time. Martial Spirit Department, freshman class. Jiang Ming looked at the blackboard in front of him, memorized the knowledge Zhou Yi said in his heart, and wrote down some key points in his notebook. Even though Jiang Ming has a photographic memory, he also uses a pen to record things. Sometimes, a good memory is really inferior to a bad writing, and writing it down once will make your memory more profound. This is what Jiang Ming's high school teacher said in his previous life, and it makes sense. Okay, today's class is over. You guys go back and review. I'm going to ask questions in the next class. If you can't answer them, follow the old rules and run around outside. Get out of class is over. As Zhou Yi announced the end of get out of class, Jiang Ming put down the pen in his hand, stretched, cleared his desk, and stood up to leave. His time is very tight. Recently, when he was studying milk bottles, he and Mr. Fan Yu had some differences. He wanted to resolve these differences as soon as possible. Just when Jiang Ming was about to walk out of the classroom and head to the soul guidance department, a girl with ice blue hair came over. On the other side, his roommate Yu Heng also came over. I said, "What have you been doing for more than a month? You haven't seen anyone since get out of class, and you still come back so late at night." Yu Heng walked to Jiang Ming, very surprised, asked curiously. As a roommate, he expressed concern for Jiang Ming. By the way, I wanted to inquire about my roommate's cultivation progress. How should I put it? It's similar to Jiang Ming's college student dormitory in his previous life. Jiang Ming is like a top student in a university dormitory who has good grades. It is a good thing to have such a roommate. After all, everyone can supervise each other and make progress. But this has to be within the visible range. What if this top student suddenly became quiet and stopped working hard out of sight? Then his roommates, especially those who want to make progress, will be very anxious. Yu Heng has this mentality now. You said that if Jiang Ming practices in front of you, that's okay. If you practice, I will practice. If you don't practice, I will practice. There is also an opportunity to put together papers. But if the person is not in front of you, it will be a bit panicky. Because you don't know the extent of the opponent's role at all, you can only know the result at the moment when the cards are turned over. In short, after witnessing Jiang Ming's abnormality, Yu Heng was involved in Jiang Ming's rhythm. What are you doing? Cultivation, what else can you do? Jiang Ming looked at Yu Heng strangely and asked. Heng was shocked and couldn't help but wailed in his heart. Sure enough. This bee is indeed practicing hard secretly in a place where I can't see, although he had already guessed in his heart. When these words came out of Jiang Ming's mouth, Heng still felt a deep sense of powerlessness in his heart. It's too curly. It's really too curly. On the other side, Ling Luchen, with long ice blue hair, also walked up to Jiang Ming. With his cold temperament and beautiful face, he was already considered the class star among the entire freshman class. Period. When they saw the class beauty Ling Luchen walking towards Jiang Ming, the boys in the class who had not left all gritted their teeth. The cold class beauty always has a cold face when facing other people in the class, and she never takes the initiative to talk to her classmates. But Jiang Ming is an exception. I don't know what's so good about this guy. Isn't it just that he is more handsome, has a better figure, is a little stronger, and has a better talent other than these? What else is Jiang Ming? What else is he? Exclamation mark. Regardless of the envious and jealous looks of other boys in the class, when Ling Luchen came to Jiang Ming, he took the initiative to say hello to Jiang Ming. Hello, classmate Jiang Ming. A rare smile appeared on her cold face, like a lotus blooming in the ice and snow, gorgeous and beautiful. Well, I'm fine, Jiang Ming nodded, and then asked very straightforwardly, what can I do for you? On the side when Heng heard how Jiang Ming treated the class beauty, he couldn't help but put his hand on his forehead. No, is this how you treat a class beauty? Ling Luchen doesn't like reading people very much, and even less so when faced with this situation. I want to talk to you. After a few seconds, Ling Luchen collected his thoughts before speaking out his purpose. Is it a very important thing? Jiang Ming asked again. It's not that important. If you are busy, you can go first. Ling Luchen said a little embarrassedly. She just wanted to find Jiang Ming to confirm what she felt in her heart. A guess, not very urgent. Actually, she wanted to talk to Jiang Ming a month ago, but Jiang Ming left right after class and couldn't see anyone at all. She never found the opportunity. Oh, then I'll go and get busy. See you later. Jiang Ming was thinking about a baby bottle at the moment. He had to win the argument against teacher Fan Yu today, even if he is a teacher. As for the beautiful class beauty in front of me, please, she is only 12 years old. What do you want to do? What can you do? Exclamation mark. 3 years to start, maximum death penalty. He did not come back from the feudal era. The criminal law is clearly written there. Of course, this world may not. But people have to wait until they are at least 16. After all, the standard age for adults in this world is 16. Of course, the most important thing is that Jiang Ming is really thinking about a baby bottle right now, and he really doesn't have the heart to think about it. Women will only delay the birth of a great soul master. Girls too. Chapter 20 Repaying Kindness with Hatred. After leaving behind his powerless roommate and the beautiful class beauty, Jiang Ming came to a laboratory in the Soul Guidance Department, found Fan Yu, and continued to argue about the unconcluded issue about the milk bottle. Teacher Fan Yu, I'm serious, this structure can really be changed. Look here. Jiang Ming held a carving knife in his hand and pointed at the semi-finished milk bottle in his hand. He looked very serious. You can't do this. This structure will cause the bottle's soul power storage to be unstable. It will explode. Fan Yu looked at the half-finished milk bottle in Jiang Ming's hand and frowned. No. If you don't believe it, let's try it. It won't explode, Jiang Ming said with determination. Try it? Do you know that this bottle is for soul masters to store soul power? If it explodes, it will be very powerful. Fan Yu immediately denied Jiang Ming's idea. Extremely dangerous idea. What a joke. If the 4th level milk bottle is full of soul power, its unstable soul power will cause the power of the explosion to be comparable to the 3rd level soul guided cannonball or even the 4th level soul guided cannonball. If it really explodes, this laboratory will be finished immediately. Teacher. Practice is the only criterion for testing truth, Jiang Ming said seriously and stubbornly. He still wanted to give it a try. He won't be willing to give it a try. Fan Yu frowned and looked at Jiang Ming in front of him, feeling a little angry and a little relieved. What is gratifying is that Jiang Ming has a dare to think and do attitude when it comes to soul guides, which is exactly what Fan Yu hopes. After all, if Jiang Ming only learned according to his teachings, then the Jiang Ming who grew up would be just another him. Expanding your thinking is very important in the research and production of soul guides. But Jiang Ming's attitude is too stubborn. And it's a little outrageous. He actually wants to change the energy storage structure of the baby bottle. You know, when the baby bottle was invented, its structure had to be tested by countless outstanding soul masters, and only this one was selected among countless structures. It is almost certainly the most stable and efficient structure. But Jiang Ming wants to make changes in this aspect, which Fan Yu thinks is really unnecessary. But looking at Jiang Ming's firm eyes, Fan Yu knew that if he didn't agree, Jiang Ming would definitely do it in private. With Jiang Ming's current strength, if there is an accident, it will at least be a serious injury. The power of baby bottle explosion cannot be underestimated. Okay, let's give it a try. But wait until I prepare. Fan Yu finally relented and agreed to try. A few minutes later, Fan Yu found a few defensive soul tools, level 5, which could ensure that they would not be hurt by the explosion of the milk bottle. Completing the level 4 milk bottle is very difficult for a level 4 soul engineer. This is almost equivalent to the workload of half a level 5 soul guide. But with the joint efforts of Jiang Ming and Fan Yu, the bottle was completed in half a day. Fan Yu took the bottle from Jiang Ming and said in a deep voice, "If it explodes, you boy, I'll give up." Jiang Ming nodded, although he didn't think the bottle would explode. Seeing Jiang Ming nod, Fan Yu began to slowly inject soul power into the bottle. There was no problem with the input of soul power at the beginning, but as the amount of soul power input continued to expand, the bottle began to shake slightly. Seeing this, Fan Yu was shocked and quickly held a level 5 defense soul guide in his hand, ready to face possible explosions at any time. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. When Fan Yu filled the bottle, the shell of the bottle began to shake more. "Look, this is very unstable." Fan Yu didn't even dare to turn his head to look at Jiang Ming. He had to keep an eye on the movement of the bottle at all times, just in case something happened. He had to react immediately to the explosion. It didn't explode, right? Moreover, the shaking amplitude of the bottle began to decrease. The glint in Jiang Ming's eyes did not dissipate, and he stared at the bottle tightly. A few more minutes passed, and the shell of the bottle stopped shaking. Successful. Jiang Ming's face was filled with joy, and he was about to prove to Fan Yu that he was right. But the next moment, Fan Yu's expression changed. The 5th level defensive soul guide was activated directly, and the milk bottle in his hand was thrown out. Boom. A violent explosion swept through the surrounding space, and the turbulent and terrifying airwaves rushed directly towards Fan Yu and Jiang Ming. When these airwaves rushed in front of the two of them, they were blocked by a black energy shield and did not have the slightest impact on the two of them. For a long time, Jiang Ming felt a little depressed after looking at the messy laboratory. He thought it wouldn't explode, but Fan Yu's expression gradually became serious, and he began to carefully recall the situation when his soul power was activated just now. There were no problems at all in the early stage, and it was even more stable than ordinary milk bottles. But later on, when it was approaching its limit, the core array in the bottle seemed to undergo some uncontrollable changes. This is the real reason that caused the bottle to explode. If this core array can be improved to solve this situation, maybe the milk bottle can really be optimized. Thinking about it, Fan Yu did not hesitate. After telling Jiang Ming his judgment, the two continued to make milk bottles. Boom. No, not here. Continue. Boom. Not here. Change. Boom. It's not here either. Change it again. In the laboratory, there were constant roars. Even the soundproofing materials in the laboratory could not completely isolate the loud noise. The students and teachers who heard the noise outside wanted to open the door, but Fan Yu and Jiang Ming refused. They are now in a state of extreme concentration, and any interruption will affect them. Time passed quickly. Late at night, after 6 hours, the entire laboratory was completely destroyed. Fan Yu and Jiang Ming stood in the ruins, unkempt, but their eyes were looking at a milk bottle very brightly. It worked. It really worked. Jiang Ming's voice was trembling, and Fan Yu was even more unbelievable. They actually succeeded. The improved bottle not only has a more stable structure, but also increases the storage capacity of soul power by 10%. 10%. Even if this structure has not been tested on more advanced milk bottles, it is still a very amazing breakthrough only on level 4 milk bottles. After a brief shock, the master and the apprentice started to revel directly. When they saw each other's unkempt appearance, they both burst into laughter. For a long time, Jiang Ming looked at the unrecognizable laboratory in front of him, somewhat panicked in his eyes. "Teacher Fan Yu, you won't ask us to compensate for this laboratory, right?" Fan Yu patted Jiang Ming's shoulder and said with a smile, "Compensate? Question mark. What to pay for? Not only do you not have to pay, Xiaoming, you will also get a generous reward. It is difficult to improve a soul guide." Today, the two of them completed the improvement of the 4th level milk bottle. The Academy will definitely give out a reward. As for the repair of this laboratory, it does not mean that it cannot continue to be used. Soon, Fan Yu reported their results to the college. The dean of the Soul Guidance Department was very happy and gave Jiang Ming and Fan Yu generous rewards. Fan Yu didn't know what he got, but he was very happy anyway. As for Jiang Ming, he obtained a level 5 defensive soul tool. Fan Yu said this thing is worth at least tens of thousands of gold soul coins. If it were put at auction, it might even be sold for 20,000 gold soul coins. After experiencing this incident, Fan Yu and Jiang Ming's enthusiasm became even higher. In the next more than a month, Jiang Ming and Fan Yu even lived directly in the laboratory of the Soul Guidance Department. They turned on the Soul Guidance lamp and communicated with each other. Jiang Ming's skill in Soul Guidance devices is visibly improving, and Fan Yu will also find inspiration from some of Jiang Ming's weird ideas. Both of them were immersed in this almost crazy academic atmosphere, until the martial arts department, the freshman teaching building, the classroom of the first class of freshmen. Today's class is over, go back to review, and ask questions tomorrow. At this time, Zhou has established enough majesty in the hearts of the students. Even though her face still looks very delicate, she is no longer no student dares to underestimate teacher Zhou. Jiang Ming put away his notebook and was about to leave to continue studying in the Soul Guidance Department. Suddenly, Zhou on the podium stopped him. "Jiang Ming, come to the office with me." Jiang Ming was stunned for a moment, with a little confusion in his eyes, but he still gave up the idea of going directly to the Soul Guidance Department and followed Zhou to the office. In the teacher's office, Zhou was sitting on a stool, looking at Jiang Ming, who was confused, with some sullen eyes, and said seriously, "Xiaoming, have you recently learned about soul tools? How is it?" Jiang Ming suddenly smiled when he heard what Zhou asked. He said excitedly, "Teacher Zhou, Teacher Fan Yu is really amazing. I have learned a lot from Teacher Fan Yu in the past few months. He taught me how to customize the soul guide. We studied the milk bottles together, discussed the soul guide rays, and when we encountered problems, Teacher Fan Yu can always give me some advice when I'm here." Hearing this, Zhou mouth twitched, and she could hardly suppress the sullenness in her heart, and said through gritted teeth, "Xiaoming, does the teacher have any grudge against you?" Jiang Ming was stunned. Seeing the anger in Zhou's eyes that was about to burst out, he couldn't help but shrink his neck. "Why did Teacher Zhou say that? How could you have a grudge against me? You should be kind to me, Zhou." Yi took a deep breath and said angrily, "Then you, kid, repay a favor with a grudge? I have no objection to you researching soul guides. But Fan Yu, he hasn't been home for more than 10 days in a row." Speaking of this, Zhou's beautiful face actually showed a little grievance. Obviously, Fan Yu is her boyfriend, even her fiancé. She defeated Fan Yu's suitor and established a relationship with Fan Yu, but in the end, Fan Yu was snatched away by her own student. Family members, who knows? P.S. Thank you everyone for your recommendation votes. By the way, please ask for more collections and tickets. Chapter 21. Shocked again. Well, when Jiang Ming heard Zhou say this, he immediately understood. Although his previous life was in high school, it is well known that high school students are not allowed to fall in love, so he does not have much experience in this area. But Zhou has already made it so clear. If he doesn't understand anymore, then he is ignorant. To put it simply, Teacher Zhou is lonely. Jiang Ming has never eaten pork and has seen pigs running, so he can still understand this. "I don't care what's going on at the place where you're researching soul guides. If Fan Yu doesn't go home tonight, I'll fire you, Zhou." Yi stood up, carrying and wearing Jiang Ming's clothes. His face was full of ferocity. But her appearance is too soft, so the fierce expression on her face looks a bit like a coquettish one. Jiang Ming quickly raised his hands in a gesture of surrender. "Okay, Teacher Zhou, I will definitely tell Teacher Fan Yu." He has great respect for Zhou in his heart. If it weren't for Zhou, he might still be worrying about how to go to the Soul Guidance Department. As for worrying, it is simply impossible to make rapid progress in the cultivation of soul tools like now. Hearing what Jiang Ming said, Zhou glared at Jiang Ming, then put down Jiang Ming's collar and sat back down. Afterwards, Zhou calmed down her turbulent emotions, straightened her face again, and adopted the posture of a strict teacher. She looked at Jiang Ming and said in a deep voice, "You go to the soul guidance department whenever you have time these days. Have you not fallen behind in the cultivation of soul power?" Because of Jiang Ming's own interest, she introduced Fan Yu to Jiang Ming, but Jiang Ming, after all, he was a student of the martial arts department, and she was also a teacher of the martial arts department. She didn't want Jiang Ming to focus too much on the soul guide. You must know that no matter how powerful Jiang Ming's soul guidance talent is, his golden heart martial spirit is also the top martial spirit. Such a good seedling cannot be wasted. Hearing Zhou ask about this, Jiang Ming smiled and replied softly, "No, my soul power has increased by 3 levels in the past 3 months. Zhou suddenly stood up from her seat and looked at Jiang Ming in disbelief, almost turning pale. Level 3. You have raised your soul power to level 3 in 3 months, Zhou. Yi knows that Jiang Ming is now at the soul master level. If it was 10 or even 20 levels, she could still understand that Jiang Ming had increased his soul power by 3 levels in 3 months. But at the level of soul master in the 30s, the soul power does not increase so quickly. Generally, soul master can be promoted to 2 levels in 3 months. Even if he practices very hard, he must also be very talented. That kind. But now, Jiang Ming has been promoted to level 3 in 3 months. And this is still putting a lot of time into the training of the soul master. If Jiang Ming puts all his energy into the cultivation of soul power, how many levels can he improve in these 3 months? Level 4, or even level 5? Exclamation mark. Zhou couldn't help but think about it, and her whole body was shocked into trance. Even as a teacher of Shrek Academy, the #1 soul master academy in the world, she has never seen such a terrifying speed of soul power cultivation. She stroked her forehead gently, her chest rising and falling, and her emotions that had just calmed down began to become chaotic again. "Teacher Zhou, are you okay, too?" Be honest, Jiang Ming was somewhat unable to understand that Zhou was so shocked. Level 3 in 3 months is already a relatively slow speed for him. You know, he meditates and practices every night. With the help of the Spirit Book of Spirits, his cultivation speed doubled. In other words, according to the normal speed of cultivation, he should have only increased his soul power by 1.5 levels now. However, the soul power cultivation at the soul master level is indeed much more difficult than that at the great soul master level, so Jiang Ming can accept this speed of soul power improvement. Oh no, now his soul power has reached level 41, and from now on he will have to cultivate soul power at the soul sect level, which is going to be even more difficult. But he also unlocked the 4th elf in the Book of Elves. In this way, he should be able to maintain double the training speed. Well, pretty good. On the other side, Zhou finally recovered. She looked at Jiang Ming with complicated eyes. "I really don't know if introducing you to Fan Yu will help you or hurt you." Before, although Zhou knew that Jiang Ming was very talented in Wuhan, but there is no specific concept. But now, knowing that Jiang Ming had improved his soul power to the 3rd level in 3 months, she felt a little regretful. This kind of martial soul talent is too strong. However, now that he has done it, Jiang Ming does not want to give up the idea of cultivating as a soul teacher, so he can only continue like this. Thinking of this, Zhou couldn't help but shook her head inside. Immediately, as if she remembered something, she frowned, stared at Jiang Ming, and asked in a somewhat eager tone, "What level are you at now?" "Soul power?" Jiang Ming rolled his eyes and smiled, a little naughty. "Teacher Zhou, I won't tell you this for now. You will know it later, just..." Now he said that he had upgraded his soul power to the 3rd level in 3 months, and Teacher Zhou almost couldn't catch his breath. If it were directly said that he now has 40 level soul power, then Teacher Zhou would not be able to pass him on the spot. For the sake of Teacher Zhou's physical and mental health, Jiang Ming decided not to reveal his soul power level for the time being. Anyway, there will be plenty of opportunities in the future. Zhou smiled angrily when she saw Jiang Ming's betrayal. You're just trying to show off. Forget it. If you don't say yes, I'm afraid the teacher, my little heart, won't be able to bear it. Okay, let's go find Fan Yu. Remember. Look, I didn't see Fan Yu go home tonight. I'll give you some good luck in class tomorrow. Jiang Ming nodded quickly, turned around and left the office, heading towards the soul guidance department. As for Zhou in the office, looking at Jiang Ming's leaving figure, he seemed to see the birth of a super strong man in the future. With this talent of improving to level 3 in 3 months, I might be able to become a being like Mr. Xuan, she murmured softly in her heart, placing high hopes on the once-in-a-millennium talent she met in her first year of coaching. You know, Mr. Xuan is the most powerful person in Shrek Academy. That is a super existence above level 95. No, Jiang Ming was able to face the pressure of my Soul King without changing his expression when he entered school. Although the original martial soul can greatly increase the physical strength, at the Soul Lord level, if you want to do this, you need to at least mid-stage Soul Master. That is to say, Jiang Ming had at least level 35 soul power at that time. And he has risen to level 3 in the past 3 months, which means that Jiang Ming is now at least level 38. Soul power above level. Thinking of this, Zhou Yi suddenly felt suffocated. According to this progress, Jiang Ming may even break through the 40-level soul sect in his first year. And this is one of the conditions for graduation from the foreign college. Level 38. What kind of monster is this kid at level 38? Zhou Yi's face was flushed, and the turbulent emotions in his heart could not be calmed down for a long time. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 22 Freshman Assessment, Team Formation. Soul Guidance System. In a certain laboratory, Jiang Ming found teacher Fan Yu, just in case. Before starting today's soul teacher training, he conveyed teacher Zhou's words to teacher Fan Yu. Researching soul guides is a process that requires a lot of concentration. Sometimes if you don't pay attention, time will flow away unknowingly. It is better to finish your words before starting. Well, it's true, it's really not good to be in the soul guidance department these days without going home. Fan Yu scratched his head, and couldn't help but picture the resentful expression of his pretty friend in his mind. Okay. Anyway, I have nothing to teach you about your 4th level Soul Master training. The next step is to become familiar with the production of soul guides. I believe in you. It should be done. I will go home first, lest teacher Qi Zhou comes to the soul guidance department with a knife to find me. Fan Yu yawned and stretched. Waist, ready to go home. Otherwise, with Zhou Yi's strong character, the possibility of coming to the soul guidance department to find him with a knife is really high. However, before taking a few steps, Fan Yu came back again. He looked at Jiang Ming seriously and said seriously and cautiously, "Don't try those dangerous attempts while I'm away." After several months of getting along, Fan Yu knew a lot about Jiang Ming. Especially when it comes to making soul guides, this kid always has some fantastic ideas. However, what this boy is most interested in are soul guiding cannonballs and milk bottles, which are extremely powerful if something goes wrong. If a level 4 soul-guided cannon bomb exploded by accident, it would be a trivial matter if the laboratory was gone. If Jiang Ming was gone, he would have no place to cry. I know, you should hurry up and comfort Teacher Zhou. When we first came here, Teacher Zhou was very angry. Jiang Ming waved his hand, and then he took out various parts from his storage soul guide and began to carve and assemble them. When Fan Yu heard what Jiang Ming said, the picture of Zhou Yi's resentment appeared in his mind. He couldn't help but shuddered and hurried home. Time passed little by little, and in the next week, Fan Yu no longer stayed up late with Jiang Ming at the soul guide. But during the day, he would still come over and watch Jiang Ming and other students. It's just that when Fan Yu was in the soul guidance department these days, Jiang Ming saw him rubbing his waist several times, and his energy was a little bad. It's another new day. In the freshman class 1 classroom of the Wuhan Department Freshman Teaching Building, Zhou Yi is telling some notes about the freshman assessment. Yes, there is a new student assessment. The freshman assessment is conducted by the whole grade together. Team battles are conducted in teams of 3. There can only be one attack-type soul master at most, and there is no limit to the other 2. It is worth mentioning that there are 400 groups in this freshman assessment, which is 1,200 freshmen. And of these 400 groups, half will be eliminated. Full half of the people were eliminated. Even Jiang Ming, who didn't care much about this, felt it was a little harsh. After all, the students who can come to Shrek Academy are all geniuses among their peers. Of course, he can understand that the academy would do this. Shrek Academy is the #1 Soul Master Academy in the mainland. Even if there is a city like Shrek City to supply resources, If there are too many people, the resources will be too scattered. It will be more difficult to cultivate truly strong people. Moreover, Shrek's tradition of preferring quality over excess was established 10,000 years ago. You know, in the Shrek Academy 10,000 years ago, only those with soul power of 12 years old and 20 levels or above could be admitted. The next time, Zhou Yi did not finish class early as usual, but began to read the group list. It must be said that although Zhou Yi was very strict with the students in the first class of freshmen and even expelled more than a dozen people in the class in just 3 months, she treated everyone in the class a student knows it all. Therefore, her grouping can often take into account every small group and try to ensure that every group can pass the freshman assessment. As time goes by, each group in the class has been determined. When the reading came to the end, only the last 2 people were left. Jiang Ming, Ling Luchen, Zhou Yi looked at the 2 of them with a somewhat complicated look in his eyes. How can I put it? These 2 people are a bit special in the class. Jiang Ming, needless to say. With his strength, as long as he is in the group, there is basically no suspense to pass the assessment. Even if he is the only one in the group, it will be the same. Exclamation mark. A soul power of level 38, in the first grade where the average soul power is less than level 20, is an existence that can crush other people. And Ling Luchen, a 29th level great soul master, is also very powerful. But Nizzy has a bit of a personality problem. She is also cold in the class, so she may not get along well with other people in a team. Moreover, she also knew that Ling Luchen seemed to have a very different attitude towards Jiang Ming than towards other people in the class. Zhou Yi thought for a while, looked at the 2 of them with sharp eyes, and said directly, "You 2 are in a group. Although one person is missing, my request for you is to win the championship of the freshman assessment. Is there any problem, Jiang?" Ming blinked. He blinked and looked at the girl with long icy blue hair on the seat in front of him on the right. At this time, Ling Luchen was also looking at him. At this time, Ling Luchen was a little flustered. The goal Zhou Yi set for them was really too big. Their group is already missing 1 person. It would be great if they can guarantee that they will not be eliminated. How can they still win the championship? What a joke. She wanted to refuse the task given by teacher Zhou, but before she could say anything, she heard Jiang Ming's voice. "No problem." The voice is very confident, not the kind of blind confidence, but the kind of calm confidence that comes from the heart. As soon as he said this, he was convincing and believed that he could really do it. "Hello, hello?" Exclamation mark. "What's okay? Big problem. 2 versus 3 is hard enough, but also win the championship? How is this possible?" When Jiang Ming said it was okay, even though he was as cold as Ling Luchen, the expression on his face was a little out of control at this moment. The other students in the class were stunned when they heard that teacher Zhou assigned Jiang Ming and Ling Luchen the task of being the champions of the freshman assessment. After hearing Jiang Ming directly agree, there was even more uproar. A 2-person team plays a 3-person team, and they still want to win the championship? This is a bit too difficult. Even the students who were used to Zhou Yi's strict teaching felt that Zhou Yi was going a little too far at this moment. This is almost impossible. Although Ling Luchen is a great soul master at level 29, there are soul masters in other groups in the entire grade. Even if Jiang Ming is also a soul master, it is almost impossible to win the championship. A rare smile appeared on Zhou Yi's lips, but it quickly disappeared. "Very good. Next, you should prepare well to get used to it. I hope that all the students in my class can pass this freshman assessment." Chapter 23. I said no problem, but no problem. After class, all the students in the freshman class went to find their teammates to discuss the upcoming freshman assessment. Ling Luchen ran to Jiang Ming as soon as get out of class was over, with a rare trace of anger on his cold face. "Jiang Ming, how can you agree to teacher Zhou? This is the freshman assessment. There are 3 other people. We only have 2 people to win the championship. This is simply impossible." Ling Luchen really couldn't understand why Jiang Ming agreed to teacher Zhou's outrageous request. You know, this is not a simple Soul Master Academy, this is Shrek Academy. Every new student in Shrek Academy has more powerful talents than his peers. It is difficult to fight against them, let alone the champion. Jiang Ming raised his eyes and looked at the cold little beauty in front of him, who puffed up his cheeks in anger. He stretched out his hands and put them on the shoulders of the little beauty, who was a head shorter than him. He looked directly at her. Those ice blue eyes. "Do you believe teacher Zhou?" Jiang Ming asked in a deep voice. Ling Luqian's shoulders were put on Jiang Ming's shoulders, and his whole body trembled. He instinctively resisted, but seeing Jiang Ming's serious expression, he still endured it and nodded. Of course I believe in Teacher Zhou. Although Zhou Yi has been very strict with the students in the freshman class in the past 3 months, the effect has been very significant. At least for now, the overall strength of their freshman class is already the strongest among all freshman classes. Zhou Yi's strict teaching obviously contributed a lot to this. Then do you believe me, Jiang? Ming came closer and looked at Ling Luqian's ice blue pupils with his dark and shiny eyes. This Jiang Ming's sudden approach made Ling Luqian's breathing stagnant. He was so nervous that he couldn't even move his body. Of course I believe you. Ling Luqian's face turned a little rosy, and he lowered his head and whispered. Then just listen to me. I said no problem, but no problem, Jiang. Ming said very domineeringly, then patted Ling Luqian on the shoulder, turned and left. Well, this little beauty's shoulders are cold, which makes it quite comfortable to take pictures. Jiang Ming thought to himself, then packed up his things and headed to the Soul Guidance department. Although Teacher Fan Yu could no longer stay up late with him to study the Soul Tool due to family pressure during this period, and even because the freshman exam was approaching, Teacher Fan Yu had already allocated most of his time to other freshmen. But for Jiang Ming, who has already embarked on the right path, this can no longer affect him much. You know, in the past 3 months, Fan Yu has taught him too many things. In the following time, he needs to digest these things step by step and transform them into his own things. Furthermore, his next focus on Soul Guidance devices is the production of Soul Guidance devices. He has bought a lot of materials for Soul Guidance cannonballs, milk bottles, and Soul Guidance rays through Teacher Fan Yu. His current job is to turn these scattered materials into formed Soul Guidance devices piece by piece. With Jiang Ming's current efficiency, it would take about a day to complete a level 4 custom-installed soul-guided artillery shell. The milk bottle is a little more complicated. A level 4 milk bottle takes about 2 days. Fortunately, the number of milk bottles Jiang Ming needs is not very large. When he and Teacher Fan Yu were studying before, he made a few. If he makes a few more, it will basically be enough. The current task is to first complete the production of the custom Soul Guidance cannon, custom Soul Guidance shells, and Soul Guidance rays. As for the freshman assessment, Jiang Ming didn't have much worries. He asked Teacher Zhou before about the approximate strength and soul power levels of other students in the class in the same grade. After careful analysis and research, the final conclusion is, as long as he doesn't admit defeat, the possibility of winning the championship is 100%. Yes, 100%. Even if he competes alone in a group. Facing a group of freshmen whose average soul power level is less than level 20, it would be really embarrassing for a 40-level soul sect to fail to win the championship. In view of this, Jiang Ming actually didn't take the freshman assessment seriously. On the contrary, what he cares about most now is actually about money. Yes, it's about money. He gave all his savings, that is, more than 1,000 gold soul coins, to Teacher Fan Yu, and asked him to buy the necessary materials for making soul guides from the academy in Shrek City at relatively favorable prices of various materials. It's just that the materials are available, but the money is spent too fast. As a result, he now only has dozens of Gintama coins left in his body. This little money can barely cover a few days of food. I have to find a way to make money. Jiang Ming thought of the previous method of making money by selling melons, but at this moment he could no longer use this method. Although selling melons can make money, after the last sale and the consumption in the past few days, there are not many melons left in his hands, and he cannot sell them for much money at all. As for other methods, selling soul guides is actually a good way. In the past few days, he has also made several baby bottles, customized soul guiding cannonballs, and soul guiding devices such as soul guiding rays. If he sells them, he can still sell them for several thousand gold soul coins. It's just that this is putting the cart before the horse. He didn't make these soul tools with the intention of selling them, but if there is no other way, he can only sell a few pieces. After all, the world is big and the biggest thing is eating. If he couldn't even eat enough, there was no use keeping these soul guides, and if he wanted to continue making soul guides, he would also need a large amount of funds. Oh, I have to make soul guides, practice soul power, and prepare for the freshman exam. It's really busy and fulfilling. In a laboratory of the Soul Guidance department, Jiang Ming put a Soul Guidance cannonball he had made into a storage Soul Guidance device, packed his things, and planned to return to the dormitory to practice. Having been staying at the Soul Guidance Department these nights, he almost forgot that he still had a dormitory. When Jiang Ming walked out of the Soul Guidance system, the moon had already risen in the sky. It looked like it was already 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening. At this time, most of the laboratories in the Soul Guidance Department have turned off the lights. In the few laboratories that are still on, some Scroll Kings are making their last efforts. Although the Soul Guidance Department does not have an assessment for new students, it does have an elimination mechanism. No one wants to be eliminated, they all want to enter the inner courtyard and become a strong person, so you need to work hard. Looking back at the labs where the lights were still on, Jiang Ming stretched and walked towards the dormitory. Soon, Jiang Ming arrived downstairs in the dormitory. The dormitory manager is not under the big tree. He should have gone back to sleep. The old man cannot stay up late. But there was a cold figure standing there under the big tree, with long icy blue hair and a long skirt. His pretty face looked left and right, as if he was waiting for someone. After all, he was a teammate in the freshman assessment. Jiang Ming walked up and said hello. Hey, Ling Luochen, who are you waiting for, Ling? Luochen's eyes lit up when he saw Jiang Ming, but soon he said with some complaint, where have you gone? You haven't returned to the dormitory all day. Her tone was somewhat resentful, and she had obviously been waiting for a long time. Chapter 24 has no tactics, just push straight. Are you waiting for me, Jiang? Ming was a little surprised and confused. He didn't understand what Ling Luochen was waiting for him downstairs in the dormitory at night. Of course. Who are we waiting for if I don't wait for you, an arrogant man, Ling? Luochen said angrily. Although it is difficult for the two of us to form a team and win the championship in a 3-person team battle, since you have promised Teacher Zhou, we must go all out. I just wanted to find you during the day. We discussed the tactics, but I couldn't find you in many places. Ling Luochen became a little angry when he talked about this. We are all freshmen and have only been in school for 3 months. Why is Jiang Ming so busy and unable to see anyone all day long? Hearing Ling Luochen's words, Jiang Ming also smiled sheepishly. It was normal that Ling Luochen could not find anyone. Although they were both in the outer courtyard, the Soul Guidance Department and the Martial Soul Department were not in the same area, and they had no contact with each other. It was indeed a bit difficult for Ling Luochen to find him. Hey, I can't help it, I've been a little busy recently. Jiang Ming smiled, then touched his palm on the storage soul guide, and 2 chairs appeared under the big tree. Come, let's sit and chat. Downstairs in the dormitory, Jiang Ming and Ling Luochen were sitting on chairs, talking softly. There are only 2 of us. I am now a 29th level Great Soul Master. With the current progress, it may be difficult to advance to level 30 before the freshman assessment. Depending on me, we want to achieve the possibility of becoming the champion is almost 0. Therefore, I want to know your soul power level and martial spirit so that I can prepare tactics, Ling Luochen said with a serious look. She still has a clear understanding of her own strength. Her strength is not weak, and she can even be said to be second only to the top ones. After all, she is only 1 level away from becoming a soul lord. But just relying on her words, let alone the championship, whether you want to be eliminated is a problem. So, she is now eager to know Jiang Ming's strength. Of course, there is another reason why she wants to know Jiang Ming's martial spirit, which is the secret that has been hidden in her heart. Haha, actually you don't need to be so nervous, Jiang. Ming took out 2 drinks from the storage soul guide and handed one to Ling Luochen. Among his 3 major hobbies in life, in addition to studying soul guides, he also likes to study various delicacies, otherwise he would not carry so many ice pattern melons with him. This is. Ling Luochen took the drink from Jiang Ming and looked at the ice blue and milky white drink in the transparent drink cup with some curiosity. This is a drink I made using ice melon, some milk and sugar. It tastes very good. Try it, Jiang. Ming smiled and then inserted a drink from the straw, looking intoxicated. Seeing Jiang Ming enjoying it so much, Ling Luochen couldn't help but insert a straw and drink. As soon as he took a sip, Ling Luochen couldn't help but hum. The drink is a little cold, but it is very refreshing to drink in this hot summer. The juice of the ice melon combined with the fragrance of milk has a wonderful taste. Moreover, because the ice melon itself is very sweet, after adding a little sugar and salt, the sweetness is more obvious. Among the various tastes of sour, sweet, bitter and spicy, sweetness is the taste that makes people feel the most happy. At least, After Ling Luochen took a sip of the drink, most of the tension between his brows dissipated. Your drink. Ling Luochen wanted to say something, but she couldn't say it clearly. She only felt that the sweet taste seemed to be eroding her heart, making people feel I couldn't help but revel in it. The drink is good. I spent a lot of effort to make it. It is a work that I am quite satisfied with. Jiang Ming said with some pride. Well, it's really good. Oh no, I almost forgot. What is your martial soul? What is your soul power? Tell me quickly. We still have to plan our tactics. Ling Luochen was almost distracted by the drink. She quickly let go of her lips biting the straw, looked at Jiang Ming, and asked seriously. My martial spirit. Jiang Ming thought for a while and said with a smile, my martial spirit is called Heart of Gold, the original martial spirit. As for the soul power, I can't tell you this for now, but it's higher than level 30 anyway, the original martial spirit. Ling Luochen was a little surprised. As a little princess who comes from a wealthy family, her knowledge is not comparable to that of ordinary people. Although she doesn't know much about the original martial spirit, she still knows a little. Is it the original martial spirit? After the surprise, Ling Luochen's face suddenly looked a little disappointed. The original martial soul is not him. She remembered that that person's martial soul was a book. What's wrong with you? Jiang Ming, seeing Ling Luochen's somewhat disappointed face, he couldn't help but ask. Nothing. Ling Luochen shook his head, put down the figure in his heart, then looked at Jiang Ming, and said clearly, sure enough, you are at the Soul Master level. In fact, Ling Luochen thought of this when Yi gave the two of them this task. She is a great Soul Master at level 29. It is impossible for her to win the championship. But based on what she knew about Zhou Yi in the past 3 months, it was impossible for Zhou Yi to give them a task that they couldn't complete. In other words, Zhou Yi thinks they have hope of winning the freshman assessment championship. It's impossible to rely on her, so we can only rely on Jiang Ming. To win the championship with just the two of them, Jiang Ming must be at the soul level. Otherwise, the possibility is too small. Jiang Ming didn't speak, just drank his drink. He is currently at the Soul Master level, but since Ling Luochen thinks he is at the Soul Master level, let him be at the Soul Master level. Anyway, his golden heart martial soul has not had time to attach a soul ring, and it looks the same. Soul Master is almost the same. If you are Soul Lord, then our probability of winning the championship is indeed much greater. But we cannot take it lightly. Among us freshmen, there are still 2 teams with Soul Lord. We need to formulate a strategy. The tactics of those 2 teams, Ling Luochen analyzed it very seriously. With her strength as a level 29 Great Soul Master, coupled with the cultivation of Jiang Ming Soul Master, it will not be too difficult for other groups without Soul Masters to win. But if you encounter a team with a Soul Master, it will be difficult to say. Tactics. Jiang Ming raised his eyebrows, then shook his head, looked at Ling Luochen, and said softly, my suggestion is, don't engage in any tactics. If you don't have tactics, just push flatly. An understatement, but extremely domineering and extremely confident. Even Ling Luochen's brows furrowed. Are you overconfident? Even if you are a Soul Master, but other teams also have Soul Masters, we are still 2 people, on an equal footing. Ling Luochen can't understand where does Jiang Ming's confidence come from? It's just the words of the Soul Master. In her opinion, she has no right to say such words. Well, listen to me, just push it flat. Jiang Ming nodded, and before Ling Luochen could speak again, he continued, if you don't believe it, then how about a bet? If we can win the freshman assessment, then you can agree to a request that won't be too much? If not, I will make a request that won't be too much. With the strength of the 2 of us, there is almost no chance of being eliminated in the freshman assessment. As for Teacher Zhou, let me tell you. Chapter 25. The first battle is over before it even begins. Ling Luochen was furious when he heard that Jiang Ming actually wanted to make this bet. She was thinking about Jiang Ming. If he fails to win the championship in the freshman assessment and fails to complete the task, given Teacher Zhou's temper, he will definitely be punished. In the end, not only did this guy not think about tactics, he actually bet on this matter. He was so arrogant. Okay, let's bet. Anyway, if you lose then, Teacher Zhou will definitely punish you severely. Ling Luochen directly agreed, then stood up from the chair and went upstairs. The girls' dormitory and the boys' dormitory are together, but the boys' dormitory is 4 floors below and the girls' dormitory is 4 floors above. Looking at Ling Luochen's leaving figure, Jiang Ming bit the straw in his mouth. The blue drink entered his mouth from the straw, bringing a cold comfort. Tisk, 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 how many gold soul coins will be enough then? This little girl is a child of a big family, how about 500 gold soul coins? Jiang Ming thought about it and felt it was a bit too much. After all, when he first came to Shrek Academy, Old Nai only gave him a few hundred gold soul coins for living expenses and tuition and fees. It costs 500 all of a sudden. Even the children of aristocratic families will probably have to eat dirt. Then, 300 gold soul coins shouldn't be too much? Well, just 300. Jiang Ming made a decision and chose to tell Ling Luchen this not too excessive request after pushing forward the freshman assessment. As for whether he can get this bet, Jiang Ming has no hesitation in his heart. If he fails to pass the freshman test, then his soul power will be trained on a dog. A few days later, the freshman assessment begins. The entire first grade of freshmen formed 400 groups. Although some of them went to the soul guidance department, the number of people was still quite large. The assessment will start in the afternoon. Don't we really discuss the tactics? In the classroom of the freshman class, Ling Luchen sat next to Jiang Ming, with a worried look on his face asked. A few days ago, she was angered by Jiang Ming's arrogant attitude, and she didn't talk to Jiang Ming for several days. But when the day of assessment came, she still couldn't continue like this. I've said it all, believe me. Jiang Ming turned his head, put down the soul guidebook in his hand, held Ling Luchen's shoulders, and said solemnly and seriously. He has said it many times and is somewhat impatient. But facing the little beauty Ling Luchen, Jiang Ming still has more patience. Ling Luchen is already used to Jiang Ming's shoulder-to-back movements. Although there is still a touch of rosy on her face, it does not feel unnatural. Believe you, of course I believe you. When you lose, I will definitely make a very excessive request. Humph, seeing that Jiang Ming was still like this, Ling Luchen snorted angrily and then returned to his seat. Today is only the first day, and the opponents they encounter should not be too strong. And in the 10 round-robin matches, they will face students from other classes. In this way, the possibility of them encountering a team with Soul Lord is directly reduced by half. Because among the entire first grade of freshmen, there are only 2 Soul Masters on the surface, namely Dai Yu Hang from Class 1 and Ning Feng from Class 3. Jiang Ming, the hidden Soul Master, has never been shown in front of everyone, so many people don't know about it. Therefore, at most they would encounter a group led by Ning Feng. As for whether there are other hidden Soul Masters in the entire first grade of freshman, Ling Luchen feels that this possibility is really unlikely. We are all teenagers. We entered Shrek Academy, arrogant and powerful, eager to show our strength to satisfy our vanity. Except for Jiang Ming, a weirdo, he doesn't know where he went after attending classes all day long. Finally, amid the tension and anticipation of all the freshmen, afternoon came and the freshman assessment officially began. The entire assessment area is divided into 50 small areas, which can carry out 50 battles at the same time, which can greatly improve the efficiency of the assessment. Otherwise, the assessment of more than 1,200 people in more than 400 groups would only be the first. A round robin of 10 games will take a long time. In order to allow students who are participating in the freshman assessment for the first time to have an adaptation process, there is only one game this afternoon. The group that Jiang Ming and Ling Luchen were in was assigned to the 13th district. District 13 is an auspicious number. Jiang Ming smiled and came to District 13 with Ling Luchen. Please note to all freshmen, please enter the assessment area immediately to prepare to take the freshman assessment. There are still 10 minutes left to enter. If you are late, you will be deemed to have given up the assessment. As soon as we entered the venue, a huge broadcast sounded. Soon, a total of 8 teams and 1 teacher from the entire 13th district arrived. Jiang Ming didn't recognize this teacher. He just said hello briefly and then walked aside to wait for his game to start. A few minutes later, the first game in District 13 started. The 2 groups that went up did not have any powerful Soul Masters, and there were even Soul Masters with more than 10 levels of soul power. Their style of play is very childish, at least in Jiang Ming's eyes. There were too many unnecessary movements and the reaction was very slow. It made Jiang Ming want to yawn. Speaking of which, since he came to Shrek Academy, he didn't seem to have a proper sleep. Although meditation can also replenish energy, but the effect is not as good as sleeping. Otherwise, why don't all the Soul Masters go to practice at night and go to sleep? The second class of freshmen, Luo Chong, Zhang Hao, Ma Lingling wins. Jiang Ming squinted his eyes and looked at the competition stage, a little surprised. Is it so fast? I just yawned and finished it in a blink of an eye. Ling Luchen on the side couldn't help but rolled his eyes and said speechlessly, can you take a good look at the competition of other groups? You are still yawning. Did you not sleep last night? Jiang Ming nodded and said sleepily, I really haven't slept much. I have been meditating, hearing. This, Ling Luchen raised his eyebrows, glanced at Jiang Ming, and was secretly surprised. Sure enough, a guy who can cultivate to Soul Master at the age of 12 cannot be just arrogant. First round and second assessment, Freshman Class 1, Jiang Ming, Ling Luchen. Freshman Class 2, Li Xin, Lu Ming, Zhao Yu. After entering, stand on both sides and let me start to release the martial arts. The teacher simply said the rules. In a moment, the two groups were admitted. Others present were also surprised when they heard that there were only 2 people in the freshman class. Why are there only 2 people in this group? Isn't it a 3-person team? Yes, how can 2 people fight? There are 3 on the opposite side. Isn't it because some of their teammates didn't come? The groups that had finished the game and the groups that had not yet played were talking about it. The teacher as the referee shouted directly, I have confirmed with teacher Zhou Yi of class 1 that there are only 2 people in this group, so there is no problem. Everyone else, be quiet. After speaking, he looked at the students who were already standing on both sides of the field, nodded, and said loudly, start. Ling Luchen heard the teacher say start. He was thinking of controlling the field with his level 29 soul power and ice attribute martial soul. But Jiang Ming on the side disappeared without knowing when. No, it didn't disappear, but it rushed directly towards the opposite side. She didn't even see Jiang Ming clearly. In fact, Jiang Ming had already thought about it before the game started. The competition venue is a square with a side length of 20 meters. The 2 teams stand at 2 corners. The straight line distance is at most 2 meters square root of 20 times the diagonal, which is about 28 meters. Look. And this distance, at this speed, is only 2 to 3 seconds. Furthermore, once the teacher calls start, the opponent's attack type Soul Master will definitely rush forward. In this way, in just 1 second, Jiang Ming came face to face with the opponent's attack type Combat Spirit Master named Li Xin. At this time, Li Xin has just released his martial spirit. Jiang Ming didn't waste any time, he just made a fist with one hand without even releasing his martial spirit. With a strong kinetic energy and the support of his soul power, he punched out without the opponent being able to react at all. Bang! Hit right in the chest. Li Xin felt as if his chest had been hit directly by a spirit beast. The severe pain caused him to instantly lose his ability to fight. After the punch, Jiang Ming's speed did not slow down, and he rushed in front of the remaining 2 opponents within a second. Each of them gave a palm knife, and the 2 guys fell directly. The whole process ended in less than 3 seconds. At this time, Li Xin, who had been punched by Jiang Ming at the beginning, just landed. Bang! With the sound of Li Xin landing, others finally reacted. New and freshman class 1, Jiang Ming, Ling Luchen wins. The teacher who is the referee couldn't help but swallowed, his voice trembling. The battle was resolved in 3 seconds, and he, the referee, almost didn't react. And, if he read it correctly, this student named Jiang Ming didn't even release his martial spirit just now. Without releasing the martial spirit, he defeated 2 great soul masters in their 20s and a soul master in their teens in 3 seconds. The referee teacher couldn't help but think of the things he had found before. What she said when Zhou Yi, the teacher of the freshman class, said, "What's wrong with 2 people? There's no rule in the freshman assessment that 2 people can't form a team. Don't worry, they'll be fine. What you should pay attention to is their opponents." He thought what Zhou Yi said before it was a bit too much, but now it seems that she was being modest. The students off the court were even more excited. They heard the referee call start, and then Jiang Ming disappeared. When they found Jiang Ming, the referee declared the duo the winner. Typical, it's over before it even begins. I can't react at all. After announcing the victory of Jiang Ming and Ling Luchen, the referee quickly jumped onto the field and checked Li Xian's injury. Teacher, it hurts so much? Am I going to die? Li Xian groaned, holding his stomach and looking very painful. After the referee teacher checked it, his face was a little solemn. You can't die. According to the standards of the competition, your injury is not even considered a minor injury. After Saying that, the referee helped Li Xian stand up and looked at Jiang Ming. One punch made an attack-type War Soul Master loses combat effectiveness without causing any minor injuries. Is this kind of control a new one? End of this chapter. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.